Welcome to Truth UnCompromised. I am your host, Rhonda. Join us every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Truth is peace. Truth is justice and freedom to love, live, and be. Music provided by sourcevibrations.com. I am love. I am peace. I am free. I have abundance. I have everything within me. For I was, for I am, for I always be. We are love. We are peace. We are free. We have abundance. We have everything within us. For we are, for we will always be. For Mother Earth is love. For Mother Earth has peace. For Mother Earth is free. For Mother Earth has abundance. For Mother Earth has everything within her. For she was, for she is, for she will always be. And so it is spoken. So it has been written, and it is done.
All right, family. Welcome to the Truth UnCompromised show. I am your host, Rhonda, and tonight is Thursday, December 20th. We have a great show planned for you tonight. We are continuing with our series of King James Demonology. We're on part 4, the first book, chapter 7. So I'm excited to continue that on. Last week, we kind of went into one of the arguments that stood out to me was what was the difference between the rituals that the church does versus what the witches do. So as these two gentlemen were stating their case back and forth, they both kind of got tangled up and kind of stumbled and backtracked on their own words. So in other words, they were contradicting themselves, and neither one to me gave a clear argument on what was the difference. So meaning neither one of them backed up the argument that, there is not difference at all versus what the church does as rituals on what versus what the witches do, which the witches are being or were being persecuted for them for conducting rituals. So we're going to continue on with that. We do have a lot of follow-up items tonight. There is a lot going on, particularly with the environment, a lot's going on in the sky, and we're going to talk a little bit about the political arena tonight, just a little bit. So with that said, I'm going to bring on my co-host. Hopefully this Mike won't act up tonight, but here we go. Let me bring on Brother Sean. Peace and love, brother. How are you?
Oh, yes, and powers and someone. What about you?
I'm good. Good to hear your voice.
Likewise.
Okay, let me bring on Sis Sandra. I think I see Sis Lioness in the queue also. Let me bring on Sis Sandra. Peace and love, sis. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. Peace and love to you, sis Rhonda and Brother Sean and the family.
Oh, listen, powers, sir.
How are you this evening? How are you, sis?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm good. It's good to hear your voice. Let me bring on Sis Lioness. And yes, Sis Sandra, we have a lot of stuff keeps jumping off in California, so I'm really going to be interested to hear your take on that. Yeah, boy, y'all have been off the chain with the stuff going on in the sky.
Because I don't even know what we're doing here.
Okay. Let me bring on Sis Lioness, and then we'll get into the topics in a sec.
All right.
Peace and love, sis. How are you?
Love you. How are y'all? I'm good. I'm well. I'm moving it.
I hear you. Good to hear you.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sean.
Hey, sis. It's good to hear your voice. Okay, so we're gonna get started. So before I go into the weekly topics, I just want to make sure, does anyone of the panel have anything for go ahead on with the fuckery this week? If not, we can jump into the weekly topics, but I always want to give you all a chance.
I have something to say.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Obadiah talks about a civil war, right, between brothers. Mm-hmm. And I got a email about just that, and I heard some things that are really about to jump off about, you know, who got killed and what and so on and so forth and why. And they say it's really not between the popular, you know, the environment, the people, but it's going to be a war between the factions, you know. And I was just, you know, this Pizzagate stuff and all this kind of stuff. You know, they've been carrying that stuff on for many series, doing all that kind of stuff. And all of a sudden, it's out there for everybody to see that they fighting each other. You can just, and they're relatives, so you know there's no love lost there for them, obviously. And they're fighting, and they're going to take, you know, there's a precaution that's been put out for everybody else because, you know, everybody's going to be fallout for their war. And I think that's pretty bad that we got to be the privy to see these gangsters fight each other. I call them gangsters. But one gangster is no better than another gangster, but one gangster is fighting on the right and some gangsters fighting on the wrong. And so this is a lot of stuff that's been put out there. Dr. Phil put some out there that we need to be mindful of what's happening and that they're going to crash the darn stock market again, which is crashing, as you can see. It was supposed to crash last year, but they didn't put it off until this year. So I just get tired of it. I don't know about you. I get tired of it. But I guess the cleansing of the planet has to happen as prophesied where they turn in on each other.
Right.
And I see that Addis just quit today, too. So I'm like, dang. They were all running to hide from the wrath of them that's about to come. And they're trying to get old Trump out of there before he unleashes his wrath on those indictments that he has hid or unsealed. So they're supposed to start unsealing those indictments. And it's going to be so bad for us in survival mode on this planet, and people need to get ready for that. And I don't know if that's part of the effery, but it's something that is tangible for us that we need to take care of ourselves and our families. So, electricity, everything is just for us to have enough food and water to survive whatever happens with these people.
Yes, very good point, sis. I have a couple things, but I'm going to hold back because they both tie into what you just stated, but I don't want to be lengthy. I want to give other people a chance. But very good point, because what I wanted to discuss ties into what you just put out there. So, Brother Sean, you have anything?
Yeah. I'm looking at it. It's all a matter of perception. The people wondering when this stock market is going to crash. They're bankrupt. It's already crashed. There is no stock market for it. Only reason there is one is because everybody seems to think that there is. Mm-hmm. And Mama provides plentiful. So I don't see why people sitting up thinking about the starve instead of the other, because the corporation stores or whatever closed down. Ain't that what we want? I mean,
yes.
You have all these people talking about return back to nature, but they still crying about whether or not the store gonna close.
Yeah.
What you want?
That's interesting, because what I was just going to put on what Sis was saying, I was going to kind of dive into, and I finally got the brother's YouTube channel right. Kali Ma'at Amen Ra. So Kali, Kali, Ma'at, M-A-A-T, Amen Ra. He puts out excellent information. His videos are off the hook. He takes pictures of the sky. He takes live videos of the sky. He ties everything into prophecy, what is going on right now, and he ties it all into spiritually. I really, really like how the brother flows, so I would encourage the family to check him out. He also kind of do what I do, far as he'll reference other sources and let the family know who he's referencing. So I'm saying all that to say, I got a point, but I did want to get that out there because I keep saying the brother with the camera. So that's the brother with the camera that's in the sky, that has stuff in the sky. And then too, Brother Sean, we need to talk about your picture. But where I'm going with this is in relation to the system crashing, which ties into what Sis was talking about with the infighting. Yes, it's very much so true that there's infighting going on. It has nothing to do with us. It is their kingdoms that are crashing. So, I pretty much don't really worry about that. Not saying that if you do worry about that, it's anything wrong with that. I'm just telling you, for me. But that is what's going on. This is absolutely right. It's definitely those kingdoms fighting because the system is crashing. Well, not crashing. It has crashed. Like Brother Sean said, the difference is the illusion. So meaning from a monetary standpoint, the system been gone. 2008 put a nail in that coffin, okay? That was like the final nail in the coffin. Everything to that point is literally living on the illusion. It was all an illusion to begin with, but really after 2008, propped up with an illusion. So as they're talking about stock markets crashing and all of this particular jazz, it's really just the illusion that everything, the kingdom is literally crumbling. And let's say if they do want to prop it up, let's say that they do pull more fiat out their ass, which, they always seem to do, because I find it laughable that they were talking about shutting down the government on winter solstice. I found that fucking hilarious. Okay, I'm like, okay, so you think that you're going to pull off a quick ritual and you want the country to give you energy for this government shutdown crisis. The difference is even the illusion, people are just fucking fed up. For the most part, people are not giving a damn. Let the shit crash. Crash on. Okay? But the other point that I want to bring up, and why I bring up that Brother Callie, because you do have the forces of Mama Nature is off the hook. So it does not matter what other folks that think they have power is about to do. She is physically shifting not only the realm, but the ground, the weather, etc. So us as a people, and I'm glad this came up because I wanted to bring it up again, our responsibility, those of us that are awake, is to prepare yourself mentally to not be dependent on the system. So that means not depending on going to the grocery store, not depending on any of the services, because at the end of the day, all of the empire is crashing. So when we say all of it, we don't mean, we just going to sweep out the people that was causing the problems, but you still going to have cell phone, you still going to have internet, you still going to be able to go to Walmart, you still going to be able to go to Whole Foods. No, that's not how it works. When we say that everything is crashing and everything's going to be swept anew, that's exactly what it means. And mentally, you have to be prepared for that. So that does mean going back to the basics. That does mean, being willing to walk outside your door and pick food, plant food, etc. And then we are going to have some of those geniuses that have been ignored that's going to stand up natural technology to give us even better things than what we have now. So I just want to put that out there. It is moving along much faster than what we could ever think it is. All you have to do is look at a couple of YouTube videos, and people are recording things in the sky. The weather is off the chain. Just today, Yellowstone had an earthquake of 4.4, which isn't too big. But, folks have been watching Yellowstone and predicting that that's going to have a big one. Russia had a big earthquake today. I think it was either 7.4 or 7.7, and also had a lot of aftershocks. And that's not even including tornadoes that's been jumping off. Shit, it's hard to keep track of these things. So, that's the part that I wanted to bring up on this whole governmental system, because they're going to keep before you the public view of the whole monetary system, the whole government. That's their job. They're never going to come out and tell you that the planet is shifting. We don't know what the hell is going on. The planet is shifting. They're never going to discuss this UV radiation, and that's why I'm recommending that Brother Callie Ma'at's channel, because this is documented proof of the levels of radiation that is rising on the planet. They're never going to discuss the signs of Europe, including Asia, going into an ice age, and the UV rays in the United States rising up and heating up. They're never going to discuss it. But you, as being enlightened people, you feel the shift and things that are going on. So just know that that shift and the things that's going on, it really means tearing down the old system. That's exactly what it means.
Rhonda?
Yes, go ahead, Sis Lioness.
Okay. Again, greetings, everyone. I agree with you to a point on almost all of what you said, except for the fact that two things. One, that it doesn't have anything to do with this. I say it does for a number of factors, reasons, and also the fact that they're never going to say. They are going to say, because there's two or more sets of days, okay? And the day that's why sometimes we try to tell you not to say they. Even we say they sometimes, okay? It's the clarification of that. Number one, the all there is, okay? The one source includes all of everything, and everything, and everyone, and everybody, and all of the bodies are connected. Whether or not they streamed all the way from the so-called beginning, because there really was no beginning and there is no end, is a whole other story. Ergo, why the angels, Genesis, and you, and where you fit in on the lineages, the breakdowns, the hierarchy, if you're on the hierarchy, and not in terms of domination, like what people have come to perceive and be mind-controlled about. And even those of us aware and consciousness, if you have not gone beyond, and not necessarily intermingled, but had the included in your script to remember and find out and infiltrate to some degree the end result of now beforehand, if people can just follow me and trust yourself and those of us who were there to be. Sometimes you're talking about the us they, and you don't really mean that. We get what you mean. However, some of the other people who are holding on to what you say and I say and some of the other ones that you have mentioned and have been on your calls and other people have seen but think they're bad and all sorts of things. There are some people that you have never seen and you will see in a minute. This is the sum total of everything you said, redacted some, lessened some of the that they're never going to say, because the they that I speak of, the they that you think is not a piece of they, it's not a piece of them. It's because we're all connected, but you had to look like you were they, the ones that y'all think is they, in order to get to now. It's unraveling the whole shit, as you said. It is inclusive of the fact that our return, our reclaiming, our restructuring, our knocking down of the whole, what appeared to be the controlling forces, which are not. They were allowed to do that for reasons, okay? And we gave it to them. So there's also the part that we, and there's more than one we also, to uplift ourselves again, to remember again, to strengthen ourselves, to do what you're doing, to do what I'm doing, to do what other people are doing, Sean and a lot of people, and then other people that you have either seen but think they're on the wrong side, or haven't seen, and they've done a great deal, and you are so correct in the fact that it's speeding up. It is beyond lightning speed right now, greater than a windshield wiper, okay? Greater than the fastest windshield wiper. And It's going to unfold before the end of the year. It's unfolding every day. Again, some things that maybe people don't read fully, just like what you're doing now with King James, is wonderful. And it's growing, and I think last week was the better part of the parts that you have done. And I think that everyone grew from it, so I applaud you greatly, each of you, because each participated and gave a spin, a part of this, an aspect, an angle from it and to it, along with the people starting to think more, because you help to activate the DNA and the RNA within inside of them that brings about the peace, because everything is connected again, okay, the pieces of the fall of them, the day that you do think about, that is the day. But within that right now are pieces of the we, who we are, who are facilitating all of this along with each and every one of us. The raising of your vibration, the sustaining of your vibration, and we all had to be in place this way to get it to this point. But it's going to fall like firecrackers. And, yes, you have to get your beans and rice and stuff like that. And then maybe some of us don't. And then maybe we'll be all inside watching everything go by. And then maybe some will be outside doing something here or there. It doesn't mean you are that they if you have something else to do to bring us all where we're supposed to be, and to put out all the information about there ever was, what was the illusions, the plural, and what are the truths. So that's where I disagree respectfully and lovingly.
Okay. All right. Okay. So does anybody else have anything they want to say? Go ahead on with the fuckery for this week. Okay. I'm sorry, Brother Sean.
This issue with the paperwork that people are constantly pushing. They still pushing this paperwork. Yes. What I don't get is, if you're so learned and so in tune with the ancestors, why are you trying to revive dead contracts or put yourself in the contract listed as what you believe to be your free designation? Why would you put that in the system? I mean, I don't get it. I mean, can't you just draw up your own paperwork after everything is settled? I mean, y'all supposed to be so enlightened. Why not just pass paperwork to each other? Since you like it so much.
That is good.
You know, and I know we talk about paperwork almost every other week. At least twice a month we talk about paperwork. I'll say it, and I always keep saying it, that you are supposed to be writing, if you feel the need to to have a contract for something, you are supposed to be the author of that contract. And it still goes back to what I said earlier with folks not from a mental standpoint, from a conscious standpoint, not letting go of a system. So in other words, yeah, we know this system is an enslavement system. We know it is a Babylonian system, but yet we still want to, and not everybody, some still want to use this same system for their benefit. So either to thrive in it, or some want to be on top of the system, to run the system.
Yeah.
And what I keep adamantly saying, and what I'm going to adamantly stick with it is that it's all going away. Okay?
Yeah.
So, even if you're going to do some paperwork, at a minimum, you're supposed to be the author and the creator of the paperwork. But at the heart of things, from a conscious perspective, freedom starts in your mind. We are supposed to be creating the world we want, not tweaking someone else's world. Because at the end of the day, you're still dancing by their rules. So, that's just my 2 cents on the paperwork. I know I see, and I'm a little bit disappointed when I see the indigenous community speaking of paperwork and selling packages. I'm like, okay, so what makes that different than what you were accusing any of the other groups of doing? Or let's, get together and you can be in my particular tribe, blah, 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 blah. I have to go on record and say I'm disappointed in that, because you're just swapping out one thing for another. I'm going to say it again. Freedom starts in your mind. You are supposed to be the creator of your world. You should not need me, Sean, Sandra, Lioness, anybody else to hand you any package, any paperwork, to join any tribe. You are supposed to be creating that for you and your bloodline. Okay, so us as melanated people, now we finna get real about the shit now. Us as melanated people need to break the dependency. We're not babies anymore. You can't on one hand say, yeah, we the oldest race there is, we the baddest motherfucker, we did this, we did that, we did this, but then you don't want to cut the colonizers' purse strings and stand up on your own, especially those that are in the quote conscious community. This is not baby time anymore. We're not in baby time. When those purse strings are cut forcefully, which is coming. It's coming very, very fast. You have to be prepared, and it starts with consciously being prepared. This is why I always said sovereignty comes with responsibility. You are caretakers of the earth. Let's start with that. As well as caretakers of the universe. But if you can't take care of self, you damn sure can't take care of earth. You damn sure can't take care of universes, multiverses, dimensions. So therefore, you're going to always be enslaved and colonized. Because you're acting in the form of a child. So now I know I kind of went on a tangent, but that's kind of how I feel with this, paperwork stuff and following this person with the hot channel, and stop the madness. Stand up in your own divine self, grow up, take ownership. You can do it. If you are who you say you are. If you're not ready, you're not ready. It is what it is, and you get what you get. So, I'll yield. I'll get off my soapbox.
That soapbox was very necessary, and that soapbox has to do with the fact of everything you said, every point you made is so valid, and then it has to be that the people, whichever ones, and especially the ones who are thinking that they have to put in any paperwork about anything, is because they're so mixed up. They're mixed up in the mind from the mind control. They're mixed up in the mind from all of the other things, and then that went down into the mind, body, spirit, and soul, and all of the things, as well as the fact that this lineage stuff has to also do with the creating of clones and the mixing of all of this. So some of the people, whether you say they're they or we, see all of this ties in together, and it's so good, are all messed up because they have so many different things running through their blood. As the physical, as the mental, they have so many of the negative thoughts, the electrical thoughts that are rogue. So they're not as they can't know themselves yet. They cannot. But that's not to say that we have to hold them up.
Right.
They have to learn to be the adult for who and what they are. Ergo, that's what I'm meaning about the Genesis and where you fit in. And then when they find out where they fit in, they must accept it and just be that. And stop trying to be somebody that they're not. Any of the rung of the ladder, and it's not about dominance, and it will not be about dominance. But that's what it is now, and that's what because they have a piece of that inside of them. So they're reacting that way. And then some is that they don't have any piece of that, and they became what they wanted to become with all of the environmental changes, whichever body, shape, or form they were in. So it runs the gamut of anything in between that, all of that gray, black, blue, or purple, whatever kind of colorish thing that was put on it. But you're absolutely correct that everybody, no matter who you are, what type, whatever, because you're only a particle and you're only a piece of the whole. Now, are you totally negative? That's maybe so, maybe not. Are you totally just positive, which positive and negative, and negative is positive in reality form. So are you the most righteous thing? Then be that, stand up for yourself, and then do what you can for others. If you're the most negative, which is positive, or positive, which is negative, the opposite end of that, then stand up for who you are, accept that you are that. You can gain electrodes and electrons and be more electromagnetic so that you can become what you've been searching for, which is still yourself. They just don't know how to do it, the core end. The other end, they know, and they don't want to do anything else. So it's all on whomever is whatever they are, and you have to seek it, you have to find it, and you have to be it, and then stand on your own stead, just like what you were saying. So I agree with you totally there.
Indeed. Okay. There is this one YouTube channel by a gentleman. It's called Adopt 2030, and he only tracks the weather phenomenons. And he's another one of the gentlemen that I've been speaking of the past couple of weeks that have gone back and mapped out the chart of the electromagnetic field, the UV rays. And he was the one that predicted that the end of the December's UV radiation and weather would spike high, and he's predicting at the beginning of January it's going to spike even higher, and as January gets on, it's going to go higher and higher. So that's a YouTube channel, Adopt 2030. I recommend his stuff as well. He's also another one that's predicting that China and Europe is going to go into a mini ice age. But interestingly enough, one of his recent videos, he said that China is preparing for a 400-year cycle of weather change as the planets align. So I found that highly interesting that yet again there's that 400-year mark that we have been speaking on. So not only are we speaking from the spiritual side that, most of us, we can feel the transition. We feel that things are switching. We felt when things just were out of balance, out of whack. We also talked to you all about the astrological change in the ages and the cycles and what the whole 2012 was about, the moving from the Pisces age going into the Aquarian age. And we tie that into the enslavement era of the melanated people in the Americas. So whether or not you want to use 1611 as the mark, or whether or not you want to use 1619 as the mark. Bottom line, that 400-year cycle, we are at that point now, okay? And it lines up with the physical pole changes that we are seeing, which is a reflection in the weather, as well as spiritually with the consciousness, okay? So I found it very interesting that this man talks about weather, but he also, from a tracking perspective, was able to track a 400-year weather cycle and how China tracked a 400-year weather cycle, and they know that their weather is about to change drastically, and they're preparing for how they're going to feed their people. They're literally preparing for an ice age, is what the gentleman said. So I'll pause in case somebody want to put something on that. Not we're gonna. I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead, Brother Sean.
Just as recently as the 18th, it was, what they say, 43 below.
Oh, what? I didn't know it was that cold.
Yeah. I sent you a video from
yeah,
World's
I got
Time.
through it. I must have missed past that part that it was that cold.
Yeah, they say Russia catching it, Indonesia, all of them catching it, Brazil, they all catching it.
Yeah, I saw where Indonesia is having a lot of tornadoes, and Brazil a lot of flooding. I didn't realize that it had gotten that cold in Russia. I know China's had some rough weather in their mountains, that it's been unseasonably cold there as well. So yeah.
All they getting is they wanted to pretend like they was mama. They wanted to try and manipulate the weather.
Yes.
So I mean, so she showed them like, look,
who's really boss.
I'm the true master at this. Look,
right.
I do this. This is what I do.
Ooh, like most melanated women, I'm not one queen on this throne, so don't get it twisted. That's like trying to come to a melanated woman's house thinking you running something. You want to get your fucking feelings hurt? That's the way to do it.
That's like when mama sitting on the phone talking, and you keep playing, and that shoe come around the corner.
And she continues to talk.
Ain't that her spot?
After she done bust you in the head with that shoe.
It'll make you bring the shoe back.
Exactly.
Yeah. And sign them up, too.
Sit down.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
And I say to y'all, sorry.
Go ahead, sis. No, you good. Go ahead, sis.
I also want to interject, again, everything you said. Now, check out this perspective. There are many, many, many reasons for the wall, because with all of these other factors, the weather's being taken care of into consideration. Yes, the radiation, all the forces of nature, and whatever's in the cosmos, what is already here, what's coming, from which angle, and all sorts of things. That's what the Space Force is for. 2 reasons, because after the start of the fall, which already started, and then when we get to the middle and the end of it, then you have to do clean sweep and sweep up the debris, meaning there will be some people left that have to be swept up too, okay, so that this can never happen again. And then there are those who are of whatever ilk who will be on any facet of Mother Earth. So when it comes to here, because this is going to go back to be the paradise, as you said many a day, okay? It is. So to preserve that, not to keep people out who are righteous, who belong in the paradise, okay, or who can add to the paradise or respect it and all like that, but we have to pull it back together again. So first, when you're having company over, you got to clean your house yourself, or get your children to help, or, all like that. And then you can have people over, but they don't run your shit, okay? They're not going to run your shit. And that's what it really all is about. And it's to keep the drugs out. It's to keep every facet is being handled. So when it's fully able to be disclosed in a minute too, the same timing as the weather, okay? The same timing as the weather. That's why the troops are coming back from Syria, because this is also Syria over here. And in the things, when I told you a long time ago that Syria was the black pearl of paradise, that's what it's going to, the melanated pearl of paradise. Diamonds and
interesting.
pearls. Okay?
So
it's all there.
So are you saying, sis, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but the light bulb kind of went on, when you're saying that the building of the wall, you're saying, is to keep people out for when these drastic shifts start to happen.
It's for everything, yeah, but that is a big piece of it. Those the ones who will not make this a positive thing, will not nurture it, will not respect it. Not to keep out somebody just for the sake of keeping out.
Keeping them out.
No. It's many forces. It's people who look like whatever and are parts of the thing with also bringing in children who weren't theirs. They're making you, not you. They're making some people believe that the children that they're bringing with them is their children that they birthed. It hasn't. It's not that. The rest of that pedophilia, that's why the information has to come out. If people think it's not, if melanated people think that's not our business, it is, because all of this shit got to be clean for the ones of us who don't fully understand what the hell happened, what the hell we gave. Because again, electrodes and electrons, you only can give it and receive it. You don't take anything from anybody. Just like that ain't nobody take nothing unless you consent to it. Maybe you consent subconsciously or unconsciously or whatever, and maybe you got tricked and all sorts of shit, but maybe not, okay? So it is greater than that. And yes, to your question, but it's even bigger. It has to do with every single facet of everybody's life that they can ever conceive. Yes.
Well, I know that it's interesting that folks have been definitely documenting in the sky entities that are spiritual entities, rather, where, I mean, they're literally showing up. They're showing, you could see them in spaceships.
Yep.
I know Brother Sean, if you want to explain to the family the picture that you recently shot of the moon, and I can't remember what day you took it.
It was what, 3 days ago.
Okay.
Yep.
And All I did was adjusted the filter on it and zoomed in on the light spectrum. And you could actually see entities encoded in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And been here, and everybody's been here for a while, and now visibility, the numbers, the algorithms, the energies allow for you to see, and anyone who has raised their vibrations, they can see. Anyone who is eating better, or any facet of your life that you're doing better in, that helps your mind to be free, because you are free, you will see that which is right in front of you. Been there.
Right. So, so, just to once again iterate the point that the realm has definitely changed, and it has changed to a higher vibration because, the things that people are seeing physically with their eyes were not able to be done. Usually you had to be in the spiritual state to see those things. Folks are documenting. First we had the two suns. Now folks are clearly documenting the three suns. They're documenting the different planets in the sky. One person has gone back and started doing a lot of investigation on the Antarctica, and drilling down into Antarctica, and a lot of entities are buried within Antarctica as well, and a lot of activity around that South Pole. Okay, so I'm just saying all that to say that, these are the things that all of the prophecies spoke on. What Revelations, anybody that's into the Bible, they spoke on these things. The Hopi prophecy spoke on a lot of these things, and most of the ancient texts spoke on these things. So, my thing to the family, and I'm sorry, sis, let me get this out, and then I'm going to yield. My thing to the family, again, although it's chaotic or chaos, on the other hand, it's a really beautiful thing that you are going to be able to witness a total change from an enslaved system to peacehood. Okay? So it's not anything for you to be fearful of. It's only for you to be aware of, and to truly, truly embrace self, love self, and keep knowing self. So I'll yield, sis, in case I know you had something you wanted to put on it.
Well, the calendar for the 2012 only gave them 7 years from that time to the of whatever age or destiny they are in right now is over, and 2019 will be 7 years. So everything is
makes sense.
Scheduled to go off in 2019. And I'm glad you guys said there was things in the sky, because I looked up in the sky yesterday and I said, those look like angels coming down there. Is that what I see? So I'm like, I'm glad I'm not the only one seeing
and
these things.
That's why I wanted you to put something on that, because Cali, it's so many pictures coming out of Cali with the angels in the sky. This one lady literally
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I was hallucinating. I said, wait a minute. I saw him. I was driving. I couldn't take a picture because I was driving, and I'm like, what? It was about 2, 3 of them I saw, and I'm like, what the heck? I said, well, and kept stepping.
And see, at least you know. Sorry, go ahead, sis Lioness.
No, I was agreeing with her as well as you, and look, Michigan, because again, Michigan is going to be the key, one of the keys. There's going to be at least 5 to 7 keys, okay, across the entire mama, and they're everywhere because we've been here. We've been here for a long time. Now we can talk more freely. Everything is everything, and it's just time as well as circumstances, and it always existed, but now no differentiation, and it was superimposed at the very time that Mercury was going direct. Mercury still has a little bit of that windshield wiper shit going on where it had to backtrack, but it never backtracked. We were backtracking because you had to go over things inside of you that didn't add up to now. So you shake, rattle, and roll. You're throwing off those things that don't service you. Mama's throwing off things, people, things, the weather, everything inside of her, outside of her, on top of her that don't service her anymore. You get out, go out. You know, Mama tell you can't live in my house no more if you do these things because I'm back, I'm in charge, and all like that, and that's what it is. And for each and everybody else, that's what you're doing inside. And perhaps people don't understand that, but you can see everything. And there's the other ones trying to get out also. Ergo, they say Mars. Ergo, they say this and that. Ergo, they the things that were passed, the envelopes that were passed at the funeral of the body who wasn't in the casket, okay?
Right,
but,
okay. Yeah.
All of that shit was going on. All of that shit was going on. That's why everything is connected to everything. Please, if you think it's not, just say, oh yeah, yes it is, because everything is connected. And thank you for saying it's going to be so beautiful because it's already starting to be that. Is it ugly? Yeah, because you got to knock down shit. You got to knock it all the way down. All the way down. Yes. So, but it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yep. Absolutely, family. So, okay. So that's all. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brother Sean.
I see what this line is saying.
I'm sorry. I can't hear you.
What you're saying, because we are responsible for everything. So everything that they do does concern us.
Yep, that's true.
We put them in charge. We taught them what little they know. We consented. We forgot.
We forgot, and then some of us were still saying, okay, I'm going out for the night, however long that night was, okay? And I'm leaving you in charge. You're going to babysit the other babies, my other babies, right? But I'm coming back. And it just took a long time to come back.
Right.
And then some other things were stretched where maybe there was a car accident here or you having a good time so you stayed a little longer, or there was an event that happened or somebody else got sick. You know, all manner of things happened during the time that we were out and they were babysitting. And they weren't good babysitters. So that was the thing.
Yeah.
You know, I'm acknowledging that and my part in that. And that's my purpose for being back, to help clean shit up.
Right.
And for your point, both of your points, Sean and Rhonda, and my point too, because I tell everybody I ain't got to have no daggone piece of paper for nothing. I didn't come in here with a piece of paper, and I ain't going out with no paper. I don't have to do nothing with no paper. However, when just like the babysitting, okay? When you and your husband, you and your whatever, or you just having a night out and you got somebody coming in who you weren't really sure of either, okay? You just said, okay, of course they're not going to hurt my children. But you knew they weren't all the way right. So you didn't make them sign a piece of paper that they're going to take care of your children. It was a verbal contract. Yeah, there was all those other things in there that happened, but you don't need the paper. The paper is being used to correct it to the point where it left off when we didn't use that. It's the onion. It's the onion, and you got to go back to heal. And this is one of the laws of the cosmos, and we teach it in holistic healthcare. To heal, to truly heal, you have to go. You heal from the inside out in the exact opposite order of how the so-called injury or illness or sickness or disease happened. And this is the same thing. That's why you're seeing all of the so-called they. But that's a big thing, a big umbrella. That's what it is. It's a big umbrella of they. A lot of babysitters in there, okay? And then you have some good babysitters who are misnomered as being bad babysitters. But you're gonna say, oh, thank you. But then you gotta, as we were saying, you gotta hold yourself up after that. It's about your character. How you driving your car? How you driving your car after that? So that's that.
Right. Very, very good point, Brother Sean. And, I just would like to add to all of it that at the end of the day, we can keep all of this real simple. If you're not vibrating at a higher enough level, then, you will not be able to participate in certain things. Because once we cut down all of the illusions, so everything we talked about, the them, the they, that this happened back up in this time, that happened back up in that time, at the end of the day, it's energy.
Yes.
Where is your energy resonating? And that's why I always say to us melanated people, let's not be too quick to point the finger and say the white boy ain't going to make it. Let's not be too quick, because it's a lot of melanated people that's not going to make it to the next, quote, quote, spiritual level in paradise, because your energy has to match. So at the end of the day, it still goes back to self. It's all about self. What energy are you putting out? Is your energy matching the environment that you so desire? So I just want to put that out there to just keep it real simple if it got a little complicated. At the end of the day, this is about healing self, raising your vibration, creating the reality that you want. And I say again, those that want to stay in a corporation structure, whatever, you have every right to do that. Do not, I don't want you to feel that I'm trying to tell you that that's not the way to go. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. But what I am telling you is it's just not going to be in the higher realm. None of that structure is coming. But if you're not ready for it, your energy will match that you're not ready for it, so you'll be where you are supposed to be. So to keep it even more simple. Because I know sometimes I could get kind of too philosophical, so let's just keep it simple that way. Okay, all right, so we're going to get back into King James Demonology. We left off on chapter 7. We're still in book 1, but this is actually the last book. I'm sorry, the last chapter in book 1. So this particular argument starts out with the reason why the art of magic is unlawful, what punishment they might, I'm assuming this might, or merit, what punishment they merit. and who may be accounted guilty of that crime. So 5 starts out with, surely ye have made this art to appear very monstrous and detestable. But what I pray you shall be said to such as maintains this art to be lawful, for as evil as you have made it. Let me reread that. Sorry, I have to get back into the groove of the way they were writing and speaking. So now I have to switch that on. Okay, so this is 5. Responding to the argument on what punishment will merit magic. So they're saying the argument is the reason why the art of magic is unlawful, what punishment they merit, and who may be accounted guilty of that crime. So 5 says, surely you have made this art to appear very monstrous and detestable. But what I pray ye shall be said to such as maintain this art to be lawful, for as evil as you have made it. Okay, so Epi says, I say they favor of the pan themselves, or at least a little better, and yet I would be glad to hear their reasons. So 5 comes back to say there are 2 principles that ever I heard used, besides that which is founded upon the common proverb that the necromancies commands the devil, which ye have already refuted. The one is grounded upon a received custom. We see that diverse Christian princes and magistrates severe punishers of witches, will not only oversee magicians to live within their dominions, but even sometimes delight to see them prove some of their practices. The other reason is that Moses, being brought up, as it is expressly said in the scriptures, in all the sciences of the Egyptians, whereof no doubt this was one of the principles or principalities. And he, notwithstanding of this art, pleasing God, as he did, consequently, that art professed by so godly a man could not be unlawful. Okay, so before I go into Epi's response, we'll pause there. So to me, 5 was just pointing out that, okay, so, Moses was taught certain Egyptian sciences, as it was taught in the scriptures. And he practiced sciences as, it was said in the scriptures, and it pleased God. So the God they speak of is the capital G, small o, small d. And so basically that wasn't unlawful. So I'll pause in case anybody else has anything they want to put on it before we get to Epi's respond to 5.
Well, they're also talking about the so-called choirs of angels, because of the war, Sandra, like you were saying earlier, but this is a better clarification of it, and it's in your Bible, so to speak, or Bibles, plural, with all of them. The laws are, the ranges are principalities, powers, virtues, all of those things, okay? Cherubim, seraphim, that's where everything happens first. Right. Before it gets to physicality and the 2 worlds that are in between that and this. So when he said, when you were saying principalities, okay, that was one of he was talking about the choir of angels. And in the other chapters, there's words in there, there's phrases in there that allude to that hierarchy that I've been speaking about for years, and why it is important to, now that we're going to end one kind of thing and go into a newness, why you have to go over that again. And for people who don't understand it at all, then they'll be addressed. For those who have heard some things but don't know fully, what that is, it's like a whole flow chart, okay? And some people who you are talking to belong and are of those hierarchies. Then there are those who are just regular so-called angels, and then there's other things all around that as well. And some were fighting amongst each other because somebody thought that they could be as strong as the whole of everything, when each and every one has a particular, wonderful, important part to play. Ergo, that's why this all had to be a movie, a Broadway play, and all like that, because everybody's part is wonderful, is important. You just have to know what your part is. Right. And most people do not anymore. And that's what he's alluding to.
All right.
Also,
I'm sorry, go ahead, sis.
King James keep talking about Moses, right? So the Aztecs, according to Emil Ahu, I hope I'm not butchering his name. He does videos about the South Central and Northern America and who we are over here. James said the large G, small O and D was Moses' God. Well, according to what's his name, Butler, and Moses was over here. So, and Moses, according to the Aztec record, was called Kublai Khan, and he was being led by a cloud, which we know now are spaceships. They hide in clouds, and that when he parted the waters, they told him to go get the blue rod to do it. So that when I heard that, I said, this is a little more than what they say in that book. But he went and got a blue. So King James is acknowledging that Moses used the magic that was given to him to do what he did. And so I'm listening to that. I said, so he was doing something. But I don't like the concept that it was the capital G, small O, and D. So that is.
Well, you know what? Now I'm gonna tell you something. I know I keep saying this, but it's all gonna tie in when we get to the next series when we talk about. I said, "Line is nowhere I'm going with this." That the ancient melanated royals, it's gonna tie in because you have a set of folks claiming a lineage as well. And once I read that, I got to connect. I'm like, whoa, you have two different bloodlines claiming a certain lineage,
right?
With the same story. So it'll make sense where the capital G, little o, capital D comes from.
Well, when Butler talked about that too, that it started over here and went over there. Remember that everything started here, the Mayans and the whole shot, and then this is the first Egypt, and over there is the second, and not the first. So
yes,
that's
it is.
Yes, it is. You say, yeah, because
that's what he said. It is, yes, but it's more than if it's here or there. It's that wherever it was, which it was here, and where I sit right now was the first womb of creation. Okay?
Right.
There was more than one creation, ergo Genesis is genocide. That's why I took those titles. But nonetheless, in addition to that, there are hierarchies, but not dominance, as you think that, not necessarily y'all, but nonetheless, there are people who think, okay, this is the people in the Wall Street is higher than them. Okay, that there's a structure that's always higher than them, and that there's only one God, but they don't care whether you spell it little letters, lowercase letters, big letters, capital letters, or interchanging the three of them. Okay, it does exist. So as everybody, when the rest of this stuff happens, everybody's going to learn something new. Some things that you have in your head you're going to have to throw away because you were taught something that wasn't true. You were taught one God. Or, yes, maybe you were taught more than one God.
Right.
But then you got put over here and said, okay, there's really still only one God and they're all talking about the same thing. No, they're not. But yes, they are, because there's a structure. But it is not about dominance.
And it's interesting because when we move into the next series about the colonies, as I was going through reading that and piecing things together, then the light bulb came on. That was part of the fall also, which put us where we are today, because, the kingdoms for the melanated folks fail hard when they overtop the matriarch societies. We already talked about that. Then the next stage of it was the dominance aspect that Sis Lioness is talking about. And once we get into the melanated colonies, and you're going to see where this one group was doing certain things and how another group, it's going to all start to click together. So, okay, so we'll get into Effie response.
Just may I interject? And I'll be short. I'll be short on this. Just keep in mind, everybody, melanin does not only mean pigment. That's why I was using the particle, the wave, and I did melanin, because melanin is more than that. It's melanocytes. It's a whole lot of other stuff. It's tyrosine. Tyrosine is an amino acid that lets you fly in your mind and go travel throughout the whole cosmos. So there's a whole lot of stuff. So some people who you think are so-called white, which some people know that that's a misnomer also, but if you think of them as they, you're going to have a great awakening as well, because it's a hierarchy in there. It's just different shades of gray, so to speak. So thank you. Just keep your minds open, because there's so much that you don't know yet.
Sorry, go ahead, Sis. Were you about to say something, Sis Sandra?
That was what the guy was saying, that it was a chemical change to stop the brownish pigment from coming back about 6 million years ago with the cysteine, with the thylacine and the cysteine, and we made the sulfur base instead. So that's what he was talking about too.
I'm not only saying that though. I'm not just talking about pigment. Because that's what you've been led to believe, that it's mainly about the pigment. It's not.
No, it's not.
It's all of what melanin is, means, equates to, and it's vast. It's magnificent. It's the all.
Indeed. Okay, so here's Effie's response. I'm sorry, go ahead, Brother Sean.
You went back to we were on chapter 4 of book 2. You in book 1.
We were still in.
I was lost.
Okay, so where am I supposed to be? Am I ahead or behind?
You behind.
But you're right on time, though, because that
discussing
needed to
it.
bring everything together.
I do not remember discussing that. So am I supposed to be one chapter back?
That was the first week. That's still in book 1. That was the first show.
We didn't finish.
But see, that's Mercury. You had to go over that again for the clarity, and you see how that brought everything together? It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I swear I don't remember that. I do not remember going through that. But okay, so which book are we in? And
We're in book 2, chapter 4.
And what page is it, please?
Let me see, chapter 3. And you know these
I
online copies. 3, argument 4. I'm trying
to. So you say book 2, chapter who?
Chapter 4.
4.
So I'm showing 26.
So your page number?
Yeah, and I think now this I remember. What are the ways possible whereby the witches may transport themselves to places of far distance? Yeah, we talked about that already because they were talking about astral travel.
Chapter 3.
So that's 4. Let's see. Yeah, so chapter 5, I think we went over witches' actions towards others, why there are more women in the witchcraft than men. Yep, you're right. We're further along than I thought. Yep. Okay, so, that's what I messed up, because in my notes, I didn't write that we were in book 2. It says, so do you think we're on... What's that chapter? What's that chapter? 5, chapter 6, I think. Okay, tell me if this is... Okay. All right, chapter 6, which is page 31 in my file. I don't know if that's in y'all file. Is what sort of folks are least or most subject to receive harm by witchcraft, what power they have to harm the magistrate, and upon what respects they have any power in prison, and to what end will the devil appear to them therein, upon what respects the devil appears in sundry shapes to sundry of them at any time. I think that's where we left off. So that's chapter 6. Okay, so we went the one behind. Sorry,
no, we haven't gotten to this one yet. We finished
so
the other one. We were about to get into this one.
Okay, so I was just in the wrong book, y'all. My bad. Okay, so that's page 31, which should be book 2, family, chapter 6. What sort of folks are, this is the argument, what sort of folks are least or most subject to receive harm by witchcraft, what power they have to harm the magistrate, and upon what respects they have any power in prison, and to what end may or will the devil appear to them therein, upon what respects the devil appears in sundry shapes to sundry of them at any time. Okay. So we're going to go with 5's reaction. Although I must point out that I find it, hopefully, family, we're picking up on some of these words and structures that they're talking about. We can see where they have carried forth into the Americas and the quote judicial system. So we all should know or be familiar with that word magistrate. And so this kind of goes back to what we were saying earlier, that us as melanated people, we created these systems and set them up. Okay, because King James, that whole royal court, were melanated. Okay, so the judicial system that we see today was the construct of melanated people, and then particularly in the U.S., it was a combination of the English structure and what's the Iroquois nation as well. Okay, so I just want to point that out. Okay, so here's 5. But who dare take upon him to punish them, if no man can be sure to be free from their unnatural invasions? So Epi goes, we ought not the more of that restrain from virtue, that the way whereby we climb thereunto be straight and perilous. But besides that, as there is no kind of persons to subject to receive harm of them, as these that are of, what do y'all think that is, infirm and weakened faith, which is the best buckler against such invasions. So have they so small power over none, as over such as zealously and earnestly persuades them, without sparring for any worldly respect. Okay. I mean, to me, that's self-explanatory. 5 came out the door swinging, saying, really who has the right to punish them. To me, I still don't really understand Epi's respond. I think it was a weak one. Trying to say that they're going to harm other people, those that are weak of faith. So I'll pause. That's what I got out of that right there. In case somebody else want to put something on it. If not, we'll move on.
Basically, what he's saying is, if you weak, you deserve what you get.
So Epi is saying that if you weak, you do.
Yeah, he's saying weak. He said that happened to weak people. If you're not a firm believer, if you're not strong in your faith, then whatever happened to you, happened to you.
Okay, but he didn't answer the question though. Who has the right to punish them? But okay.
Yeah, he dancing around the issue.
Okay.
Well,
yeah, I thought he was dancing, but okay.
but this goes back to in Boo Boo's days, okay? And
right.
it is being played out right now with the special prosecutors and then these tribunals that are going to come and are somewhat being utilized already. And we talked about this a couple of 3, 4, 5 years ago too, to say, don't think because you're hearing now or heard that so-and-so did such and such, that you have a right to judge them, because you do not. There are people who are going to be those justices. See, justice is different than judging. But there are some who are to be the judges to apply the justice, but not everybody, because judge not, least you be judged, because you not may be qualified to judge someone. But that does exist, and it is existing, and it shall exist. So I'm glad this piece is coming up. That page is missing from my thing.
Is it? Oh, man.
It skipped that page because I would have loved to have seen it. I will check in another version, though. But that's what it really means. And it's inclusive of what he's saying. If you're weak in faith, because you have to have faith in yourself, because you are all of those GODs, okay? But greater, because you are the one. And I don't mean to hold up your thing, but I was in the supermarket today. and this lady was giving out some junk, really, but she was giving it out, and they were letting her have a little table giving out this cream lotion, and she put some of their soda and some lemon juice and saying, here, drink this. So and so told me that this was good for people, so people are coming by drinking it. And again, it didn't sit with me, but I saw what happened. I was supposed to meet this other lady who was about to drink it. And then she said, "Oh, I just believe in he'll let me know if this is bad." And I said, "Excuse me, who's the he?" And she said, "I just keep my faith in God." I said, "And in yourself, right?" And she said, I kind of heard that before. I want to finish here. You say that. Please explain that to me. So I grabbed the can of soda. I asked the lady, could I borrow it, because I wanted her to see what she was giving people was not good for them. If you read what was on the bottle of lotion, why would you drink lotion anyway? But anyway, so I said, could I borrow your cup? And I poured some of the soda into the cup, just a little bit. And then I said, if this soda can represents who you think is God, who is not, look, this is who you're praying to, but I used my left hand, which I should have used the opposite, but it doesn't matter. It's the symbolism of it. That if you go to this one in my left hand, that direction, then maybe your blessings would have come, because it's direct communication with that who you think you're talking to, who is in yourself, inside of you. Right. And when I showed her the little cup, that if this is this, and I pour some of this into there, and that's you, aren't you that? And she said, "Oh my God, give me your telephone. I got to talk to you." And I told her about your calls and all these other calls. So this is the thing, and this is how people are awakening, and that's what they're talking about.
Right. Yeah. So, Brother Sean, do you have a different page number? Because mine could be off. I'm showing page 31.
It's 40 on mine.
Okay, so Sis Linus, you can try 40. Yeah, because mine, I don't know, maybe mine didn't refresh, whatever the case may be. But before I move on,
it has two different PDFs.
Yeah, we could have two different PDFs, but Sis is missing 40, period. Okay, so only other thing, I just also want to agree with Sis Lioness. Thank you, Brother Sean, for clearing up Effie's clap back, because I didn't know what the hell he was saying. He danced up around it. But Phi pretty much said with Sis Lioness, who are you? Who gonna judge who? Basically. So here we go again. Here goes Phi. Then they are like the pests which smite these sicarus that flies it furthest and apprehends deepless the perils thereof. Epi goes, it is even so with them, for neither is it able to them to use any false cure upon a patient, except the patient first believe in their power. And so hazard, I know, ain't that deep? And so hazard the tinsel of his own soul, nor yet can they have less power to hurt any, nor such as what is y'all think that is? Contempts, Brother Sean, what you think that is? Contempts most their doings. I don't know if that's contain most their doings, so being it comes of faith, and not of any vain arrogance in themselves. So I'll pause and let
him. It's continuum, like contemplate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, like contemplate. Okay. So I'll let y'all take that one while I take a sip.
It's all the same thing. It's what we're talking about now.
Yeah, I found it interesting that he brought in there about it's based on what the patient first believe in their power.
Yeah.
So I found that interesting. Okay, so here's 5. But what is their power against the magistrate? See, I Phi just be trying. Phi brings Epi back to basically you ain't answered none of the questions in the argument. So anyway, here go Epi. Less or greater, according as he deals with them. For if he be slothful towards them, God is very able to make them instrumental to waken and punish his sloth. If he be the contrary, he, according to the just law of God, an allowable law of all nations, will be diligent in examining and punishing of them. God, now am I making this up, y'all? Didn't he distinguish God, capital G, capital O, capital D, will not permit their master to trouble or hinder so good a work. Okay. Yeah. So just real quick on that. So he basically saying that the magistrate, if he don't do what he's supposed to do, he'll get punished. So in other words, he's supposed to do what, meaning the magistrate. The magistrate is supposed to deal with the witches according to the just law of God, and then otherwise, God will not permit the masters to trouble or hinder him so good at work. Okay, so Phi goes, but for they be once in handles and ferments, have they any further power in their craft? Epi goes, that is according to the form of their detention. If they be but apprehended and detained by any private person upon other private respects, their power no doubt either in escaping or enduring hurt is no less nor ever it was before. But if on the other part their apprehending and detention be by the lawful magistrate upon the just respect of their guiltiness in that craft, their power is then no greater than before that ever they meddle with their masters. For where God begins justly to strike by his lawful lieutenants, it is not in the devil's power to defraud or bereave him of the office or in effect of his power and revenging scepter. Okay, so
that's right now.
I'll pause. I'll let y'all
right
put something
now.
on it, and I'm gonna put my little 1 cent on it. Okay, Sis Linus, go ahead.
That is right now. That is right now. That is right now.
So,
and you're going to see who the portrayal of the so-called devil is, and who the portrayal of the lieutenants and the archangels and the prosecutors and things in just a little while, within the next 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 weeks, okay, as it unfolds and gets to be shown. And this paragraph, this thing that you're doing tonight is so profound. That is why you had to go backwards to get that piece out, to get this piece out. It's not for everybody to understand tonight. When they see it unfold, if they have any more light that has uplifted them and want to have an open mind, they will learn from this, from you, from us tonight, and when they see this unfold. This is beautiful, really. Ooh.
So, Brother Sean, you have anything you wanted to put on that?
Oh, Sis Linus, I emailed you the copy that I have.
Oh, okay, thank you. I will switch over then, okay. When we finish this, I'll switch over. Thank you.
Let me see.
Because that paragraph was pretty powerful. It has triple meaning.
You know what? I heard a lot of court stuff in there.
Exactly. Thank you. That's the glaring part that stood out to me, sis.
private persons.
Exactly.
Magistrate is the common law person, and the private person is the independent, not slaved person, and all this kind of stuff they were talking in there, and that there is going to be that trial, and the magistrate is supposed to do his job, or he's going to get messed up too. So, I'm hearing, hey, we're in court or what?
Yes, the tribunals are going to be the court.
Right,
I heard that. I said,
See, that's the three meanings, because the one that stood out to me was that it was saying, well, if it was, private upon private,
it'll be all right.
Hey, it's all right, right? None of our business. That's sovereignty. That's quote, quote, common law. Keep it moving. But now, when you cross over to this corporate, to this public side, oh, no, you standing before the magistrate. And that's
Man,
when,
you need a long dictionary for this guy.
I'm surprised to see this in here like this. I'm like, okie dokie then. So to me, that's what the court side meant. And then bringing into what Sis Lioness was discussing, bringing it up to what's happening today on the trials on the current day corporation side. And
not just the corporation side, outside of the corporation side. This, which was presented here, is, see, just like they use the things that we had way back, okay? In every category, this too right here, even if we're not talking about what I'm talking about right now, even if you say it's only at that time, they use the same things. I'm talking they. Because I can't use the words of who these people rep. That's why. Soon I can. But nonetheless, the people then, instead of using they, colonizing, used the same structure, yet tweaked it here and there for their benefits.
Yep.
This right here, what's being talked about in this paragraph and in that entire document, is about those things that I'm saying, the angels, the angles of light, Genesis, the different creations, and the structure, the hierarchy, and where you fit in. It's about the choirs of angels, because the so-called devil is in that choir of angels, and you will see them. You have been looking at that individual and some of those other ones below him for a long time, okay? You think it's somebody else than what it is, so. But I'm not at liberty to divulge that. But that's why I'm saying this fits in right now, because the real tribunals are outside of the corporation, because you're right, the corporation is dead, bankrupt, everything, okay? And that's going to be in days and weeks only. It's beautiful. And this is that's why I said in the original conversations, hold off on thinking that King James was so bad and so whatever. He left this document for now.
Yeah, they're setting up the tribunals now. That's what I hear, and the places that were for others are going to be for them.
Yeah, that paragraph is pretty deep to me for them to lay it out. I'm sorry, Brother Sean, you had something you want to put on it?
Yeah. I mean, check it out, though. That is according to the form of their detention. If they be but apprehended and detained by any private person upon other private respect, their power, no doubt, either in escaping or in doing hurt, is no less nor ever it was before. So in other words, they saying that a private person is not going to be able to contain them, that they're going to be able to escape and continue doing harm.
Yep.
So,
right.
He's actually speaking against the private sector.
That's another. Yeah, that makes sense. It's twofold. He's confirming that private has more hierarchy, if you want to put it in play, but he's speaking against it. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brother Sean. I didn't want to break your thought process. Sorry about that.
He goes on to say, but if on the other part, their apprehending and detention be by the lawful magistrate, upon the just respects of their guiltiness in that craft, their power is no greater than before they ever meddle with their master. For when God begins justly to strike by his lawful lieutenant, it is not in the devil's power to defraud or bereave him of that office, or effect of his powerful and revenging scepter.
Yes.
So what they're saying is, this magistrate, this magician of God, once he renders something, the devil can't undo it.
Yep.
So he's stripping them of their power. He's capable of stripping them of their power.
So, in other words, and you know, those that dabble in the whole on the law side, that's the same as stepping across someone else's jurisdiction.
Right.
Same thing. He's really saying the same thing. Once you step across that jurisdiction and you grant them jurisdiction over you, you're not in that private capacity.
You know, when a magistrate rules in California, it has to come down with consent by both the plaintiff and the defendant for that magistrate to rule. Now, I don't know about the East Coast because the district courts are higher than the magistrate. So if a person is judged by a magistrate, the judgment stands, but it stands with review. So he's talking about a lot of legal terms of whose judgment stands once it is rendered.
Right. And I mean, we know, and it's different really by state on how they set up their hierarchies with magistrate and because Texas even call them something different, and shit, I can't think of it right now.
Then you call the magistrate.
Yeah. And, you know, which magistrate, now isn't this interesting because they speak against, to show you how everyone is trying to get power over the next person and get them to bow down to their godhood and suppress others' godhood. Because when we started this journey with this series, out the gate, did they not say magicians? You know, you're not supposed to be practicing magic, and, you know, magicians, necromancy, witches, sorcerers.
Yep.
But what is the root word of magistrate?
Magi.
So I'm sitting here, you know, once they started bringing the magistrate word into play, I'm like, but wait a minute, blood. You said out the gate that magician was against law, but yet you're going to say that folks are going, these same witches and magicians and sorcerers and necromancies are going to stand before a magistrate? Oh, okay. Okay, so not their own magi, but your magi is the one that's powerful. Oh, okay, I got you. Okay.
And they rewrote some of his words, too. Just like the different Bibles were changed over and all sorts of things, too.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me at all. Okay, so here, I'm sorry, go ahead, sis.
You know, you said December of 25th is going to be a serious issue for the planet. So we're talking magi, we're talking magistrate, and we're talking about the 3 wise men who were the magi.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, so
for now, and it will be the second son coming, the coming of the second son, because you got 3 out there now, and for some they only see one because I not be single yet. Okay, you have to take everything into consideration because everything is connected with everything else, and then you bring it down, but it's some other pieces that are going to come out in the next few days into January, but you're still at this time frame. Don't get caught up on the dates because you're really not on the dates that you think you are.
No.
Even if it plays out that way, which it may, because the 23rd is also important as well as the 21st. They're going to be a person you will see, yes. But the real thing that it means is that because of the cycles of nature, the cycles of time, and all like that, it is now the closing of another cycle where the sun that you had, the SUN you had, is the second one is here. That will be with you for the next duration of this cycle, of this era of Aquarius. We, the people of the water, the most vital force. Okay,
and
that's
just
what
to throw out there, Aquaman, I think they're releasing that tomorrow. Okay, none of this. See, they know.
Yes.
And I'm sorry with the they, but y'all know what I'm saying when I'm talking about the they.
Yes.
Folks that study the astrology, they enter and understand the ages, time. They don't calculate time as it has been taught to us.
Well, they screwed it up.
They enter and understand the particular cycle. Okay, so Aquaman is literally being released tomorrow. And interesting, sis, that you bring up about the coming of the second son, because it's a brother out. He has a YouTube channel called Rap the News, and he's not a little bit. He's a lot on the biblical side, but you have to, don't let that turn you off. If you're not into the biblical stuff, just pick up the pieces as you wish. You can use discernment, but he talks about what those 3 sons represent.
Yes.
And he said exactly what Sis Lioness just said, that what they are saying that the sons meant in the Bible really was equating to an astrological event. Okay, which are the suns in the sky. Okay, so y'all, now how we get to
the one inside of you also.
Exactly. Well, he didn't talk about that, but absolutely, Sis Lioness. Yes. And you could go on his channel and get that video. He did 2 quick ones, and they were both under 5 minutes. But it showed where people documented, they captured on camera suns, and each one of those suns means something from an astrological perspective, and issuing in the new age, the new vibration, and the healing of Mama Earth. Okay. So, I don't know how we got all into that, but it had to get out. So, okay, here we go. Here goes 5 response. But will never their master come to visit them, for they be once apprehended and put in ferments. Hold on, let me get to the next page.
Gitmo.
Ferment.
Exactly.
Okay, remember the angels or the angles that holds back the 4 corners of the earth?
Yes.
And they have control over the ferment, the bottomless pit.
Dominions. Yes.
And they're going to
all of what I'm trying to get across to you. See, it's getting there, and it's wonderful.
Good
Go
job.
ahead, sis. Finish your thought, though.
Well, the firmament or the abyss is prepared for the ones that they are going to throw in there because they hold back the four winds of the earth on each corner. And when judgment comes, that's where they're going to be discarded in.
A little bit different than that, but in essence, kind of like that. And the four are who? 4 horsemen of the apocalypse and the 4 arches, which those things are right triangles, the hypotenuse of a right triangle. It's all y'all didn't. I did this on Saturday. I hope that y'all could do the replay because all of this fits
we couldn't. And we need to talk about that because hopefully you can switch. I'm opening it up to you can use this platform because I couldn't get on and the replay ain't working. So, but we'll talk about that later. But I'm sorry. Go ahead, sis.
Did she go?
Uh-oh, did you drop off?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Okay, no, I was just saying that, I know I personally couldn't get in, and the replay number isn't working. So we'll talk offline if you want to switch up platforms or whatever, if that'll make it easier. So, but I didn't mean to break your thought. Go ahead. When you
Mine
said we
or
talked about
Sandra's?
Saturday.
No,
go ahead with this.
Lioness. Yeah, your thoughts, Lioness.
Yeah.
Then go ahead and correct me. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I didn't hear everything.
I was talking about the 4 corners. You're talking about the 4 angles, the triangles. Yeah, the 4 corners. And I was talking about the abyss and the firmament and all that kind of stuff, and you said it's not exactly like that. So go ahead.
It is the framework of that. That where people will go is possibly for people's breakdown, for people's understanding right now. The abyss where they go is internal to their mind. Their whole record gets erased, and they start from the beginning.
Oh.
So they have to go through all these trials and tribulations again, but somewhere else, not here.
Mm-hmm. And that's deep to me because that resonates with me because kind of saying the same thing you're saying, Sis Sandra, but you're saying it from a physical perspective, although it is going to be a physical perspective, but spiritually and psychologically, now this is how I equate it, family. It's like doing another cycle.
Oh, yeah.
So that's how, yes. And
but it's harder. It's immensely harder.
Baby, if it's harder than the hell we in now.
Yeah.
I'm going to use a they on that one.
I can't do it, y'all.
Yeah, that's just been a hard road.
Yes. And I would have to do 26,500 MF a year. It's harder than hell to the no.
Tomorrow is my birth year. So, birth, the year and everything.
Wow.
Yeah,
how powerful, sis.
Yeah, it's a powerful day. And it's always been that powerful in my life when I was born on that day. It's like, whoa, who am I?
Wow.
And I have a lot of stuff in my body, in my spirit.
That's powerful, sis. That's powerful. Okay, now I just want to say again, if that, when the judgment comes down, folks that have to repeat a harder cycle than what we've just gone through, then here's my response to that.
hell to the no, to the no, 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 no. Hell, no, no, to the no, no. Hell to the no, no, to the no, 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 no. Hell to the no, no, to the no, no, no.
Okay, I was just waiting to play that because, woo!
Very good, very good.
I can't even do it now.
You had your finger on that button.
Yeah, I'm like, wait, worse? Oh, hell no. Okay, so here go 5. It is not good using his counsel. Did I skip something, y'all?
Yeah, you skipped that.
Okay, Epi, my bad. Epi goes. That is according to is that a state?
Estate, yes.
Estate.
Okay, it's a state. Okay, that is according to the estate that these miserable wretches are in. For if they be obstinate and still denying, he will not spare. When he finds time to speak with them, either if he finds them in any comfort, to fill them more and more with the vain hope of some manner of relief, or else if he find them in a deep despair, by all means to augment the same, and to persuade them by some extraordinary means to put themselves down, which very commonly they do. But if they you find if they, what is that, pertain or pertain or repent. Okay, so they didn't put the re on there. So if they be repent or repent and confess, God will not permit him to trouble them anymore with his presence and allurements. Okay.
What the heck?
So I'll let y'all work that out. I'm going to sip on me some water.
John McCain and GHWB.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, they're supposed to have been executed.
Or one may have put themselves down and the other may have been that way. And then there are pictures of somebody looking at this whole rest of the thing because they are in a different establishment with somebody guarding them. Because the people, the masses of the people, had to have something put before them, as well as the nation state, for we the people. And see, this is where we is one thing, and then we the real thing is another thing that we will get to because of the onion. But if we just stay with this, we the people now, of which you are still included right now, okay? But they won't be included when you get down to where we're going to help everybody. So right now, this place here and the world, they cannot, the regular people cannot take the whole entire truth with one dose.
No.
So we had to spread it out. One, to close all the circles, all the cycles. We have to close the cycle of 1776 or 1772 really to now. Close it. Okay? Yet, you can't just close the circle and not give justice and judgment and allurements and redemption time and all like that to whomever, as Boo Boo said. See, Boo Boo had to tell the truth to most things in order to perpetrate the other shit. So,
True that.
But you know, but so this is how it has to play out. Yet they were each, and there are more. And those envelopes that went out scared the shit out of them because they know the deal. So you come repentive for real with your true heart, because you are that particle. You are from that soda can poured into that little cup. You still are that. You still are the oneness of the one source. And you still can be redeemed no matter how dastardly you are. It'll just take another forever time. Okay.
And the refer back to the Hell to the No song, but okay, yeah.
energy is either good or bad, but it's still energy.
No, energy is energy. What you use it for or how you live it is what is considered behavior, and therefore good or bad.
Yeah, and so the energy thing has to go back to the same source. See, because the source, as people would call it, what you were talking about, all in all, the source is the maker of all of the energy, or the immanent of the energy, or the part of the energy. So we have to go back to that energy.
Everybody, everything, anyone is all encapsulated in that. That
whether
is
good or bad.
Doesn't matter, because there is no good or bad. It just
good
is.
Or bad. So
No. You'll come to understand that later. It is not whether you're good or bad. It is that it just is, and it's what gets transpired. That's all. You have been good and bad all your life, all your lives, all your cycles.
Yep.
So you can't just say you're one or the other. Now you can be majority this or that at one cycle in time, or even one portion of a cycle in time. So you can't speak on it. Ergo, you cannot be a judge. Only those who are set about are to be those judges, and that's why there's only a certain amount of them and stuff like that. So it's all in there. It's all in there.
I can't be a magi, right? Is that the judge you talking about?
No, that's not what I said. Because only Magi's are not only judges. See, there's so much more to learn. There's so much for everybody to learn. And the picture has been clouded, distorted, and kept from people in order to play out the play the way it was written to get to this point, so that you can have the most perfect union of each and every particle, because it is the greater of the one that experienced everything through each and everybody. So ergo, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I said I just had a vision.
Very good, because that's what's supposed to happen.
Wow, that's crazy.
All of this is supposed to, the LP40 sparks are going out. They've been going out for 5, 7, 10 years, okay? And now everybody's getting it at the vibration that they're at. If they lose the vibration when they come up and they drop it down, and then they try to come back up some and they drop down lower than where they were. That's why we kept saying you have to gain it but maintain it and go first. That's why we kept telling y'all, go beyond, go beyond, go beyond. We rooting for everybody. Everybody.
Yep.
But yes, you can be a magi. Greater things will you do than I have ever done before. You can be anything you want to be.
That's right.
You just got to be it righteously and surely and confidently and truly, but not be anything else than what you are.
Right. And if you choose to be anything than what you are, then the consequences
are on you.
Exactly. Brother Sean, did you have anything you wanted to put in on that?
Yeah. What I'm saying also is the implementation of fear. I keep going back to Epi's first response, and at the end of it, when he says, or effect of his powerful and revenging scepter. So all of this is revenge. Period.
His revenging what?
Scepter. In other words, the mallet in the court when they hit with the gavel.
Right.
You know, speaking of scepters, you know, the scepter in the Lost Book of Inky was his. And the scepter is justice or the law. And the script says the scepter shall not depart from Jacob until Shiloh comes. I think that's what it says.
Right, because aren't they passing that scepter on to who the ruler?
Rightful rulers.
Right.
And Trump was looking for the scepter
He found it.
And when he
found it. But somebody else has it, but he found it.
Did he?
Yeah, but wasn't W and them looking for it too? If I remember
But they
correctly.
couldn't hold it, and somebody within that whole ball of wax had it, but they couldn't hold it. But the other piece of it was where it should have been anyway, and it was returned already. It just, all of the rest of this has to play out because everybody wasn't ready. And everybody, even though they might have been physically in place, weren't in all of the rest of their bodies, the mental, the physical, the spiritual, the etheric. They weren't all remembering all. Remember when we used to say you have to remember as in your memory bank, but then you also have to remember your body, the realignments of everything, and each and every one of your bodies, and you have more than just them. But each of your bodies have to come back to be whole, the whole particles. Those free radicals, okay, there are free radicals within your body, but there are free radicals as in those electrons. That's what I did a piece of over Saturday, but we're going to continue to do that too. When they're strung out over there, it causes other things. And when you have too many of them, you overload. So, again, if everything was put before everybody 10 years ago or even 2 years ago, they weren't ready. Even 2 months ago, people were not ready. Not enough people were ready to take the load on. All of those old sayings and stuff really mean something. And even I went over giving a damn. If you give a damn, you give Adam an atom, and an atom is made up of what? Protons, electrons, all of that. So it's all about that, and it's all about magnetism. So you're on the right track, everybody. It's wonderful. Woo!
Right.
Thanks.
So, Brother Sean, your point was that going back to Effie talking about how they gonna lay down the scepter upon people, upon the witches, because we back on the witches, because the argument is about what punishment the witches or witchcraft or those that are practicing witchcraft shall receive. So your point of Effie, when he started talking about they will be, that the magistrate is going to carry out the law and the power, that any power that the witches have with their master, which they're saying is the devil, they can forget all of that because that is being their jurisdiction, the magistrate's jurisdiction trumps, no pun intended, the power over their devil. And that once they lay down the scepter, that's that. So you're saying that basically they're using their form of law, and it should all sound familiar to us, using their form of law as a fear tactic. Was that the point you were trying to make? Yep. And we see that today. I'm sorry, go ahead, Brother Sean.
But if they be penitent and confess, God will not permit him to trouble them anymore with his presence and allurement. Now, earlier, he said as far as for the witches being able to manipulate the weather, the elementals, and other things that the devil didn't teach them. It was natural to them. And obviously, since these witches are not of this God, their powers is something that he didn't even give them.
Right, so, you're meaning their gods didn't give them.
Their God didn't give them his power.
Right.
So if they repent and confess, in other words, if they give up their ancient way,
their sovereignty,
that they agree to be a servant of God,
Their
God,
God. Mm-hmm.
then they automatically lose their powers because they give up being who they are.
That's pretty powerful.
But you
That's
never really lose them.
Yeah, that's
Right.
kind of deep.
It's getting you to mentally
You
cut
agree
yourself
to
off.
Agree.
Right.
But if you do it in Sean, you
Wow.
You
agree.
agree to become that
You
character.
agree to it. Yep. Yeah, that's deep.
Yes.
So it's twofold. So, and thank you for that, Brother Sean. So basically, they know that they don't have any power or jurisdiction over the witches in them. Okay, so their laws don't apply to them because they're not under their particular system. But once they agree to, by confessing, then they come up under their law.
Right.
And from
But
a
not
spiritual
truly.
perspective, they're cutting themselves off from their ancient ways because they are agreeing to their particular system.
But only as an illusion and a fear tactic, but not in reality, because you never lose that direct connection to who you really are. Now, if you're really underneath them, then that's where you were.
Mm.
Right.
But
right.
they use spelling in words for people to agree to the old okie doke, as they call it. People agree because they trick them into agreeing. And people don't know the trickery in which they stand. I swear, like they swear, they, parrot back the things of what the people want them to think. They buy into the matrix, the illusions.
Right.
We get tricked into it instead of returning to the self that you are. You have to find somebody outside of yourself to take care of you, and that's the trick. There's no such animal.
Yep. That was a very good. Thank you for that, Brother Sean. Because yes, they were using the fear tactic to get consent to this new system, and we see those same tactics today. So that's nothing new. But now it's all coming quote full circle because we have ended a cycle. So, oh man, that's a good drop, y'all. Okay.
And together with that, nothing trumps fraud. So, if fraud is there, if fraud was involved, you never consented anyway. So, ergo, you don't need no paperwork because you never consented.
Right.
But that's on the physical. That's on the physical, and all of that's being taken care of for you.
Yes, very good point, Dad. So we hit that as well.
There's no contract if it's not a meeting of the minds.
Exactly. Okay, so 5. It is not good using his counsel, I see then. So 5, pretty much backing up what Brother Sean was saying. So, what's the point of using y'all counsel if, folks going to be guilty anyway? But I would earnestly know when he appears to them in prison, what form uses he then to take? So Epi goes, divers forms, even as he uses to do at other times unto them. For as I told you, speaking of magi, he appears to that kind of craftsmen ordinarily in an form, according as they agree upon it amongst themselves, or if they be put prentices according to the quality of their circles, or conjurations. Yet to these capped creatures he appears as he pleases, and as he finds meetest for their humors. For even as their public conventions, he appears to diverse of them in diverse forms, as we have found by the difference of their confessions in that point. For he, deluging them with vain impressions in the air, makes himself to seem more terrible to the grosser sorts, that they may thereby be moved to fear and reverence him the more, and less monstrous and uncouth-like against to the craftier sorts, least otherwise they might stir and scunner at his ugliness. Okay. So I'll pause in case.
Who is he and who is they? He's talking about the devil, or is he talking about God?
The devil and the witches. The devils and the witches and the magicians.
He's talking about he will let them. So he's talking about who?
Just what you said. Who you think is the devil, okay? And who you think, who the plural of most people thinking, they're talking to who they think is God, okay?
Yeah, I'm hearing that.
Yeah, yes. But what has been portrayed to them and what they have for the parts minus what they have forgotten of themselves.
Yeah.
And that's why sometimes when people keep saying they, it really bothers some of us because of knowing the differences, okay? But this is all good. This is so beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
So he's going to be who you think he is.
In some respects, and in other respects, he can come in, well, that entity, that energy can come in any form. It can be feminine, it can be masculine, it can be both inside a male body. And I just told you something.
Yep. I thought that was pretty deep too. That it's so basically saying either folks can, and in this particular form, he's talking about the magi, okay, which I find it laughable that they talked about the magistrate punishing folks just 2 paragraphs back, right? So now, so now you're gonna say the magi conjuring up their devil, so meaning they can either conjure up their devil in whatever form they choose, or their devil can come in any particular form that he so chooses. Okay, and you know, from a spiritual side, we know that when they talk about this conjuring up, we're really speaking on energy. Okay, just to put this all into perspective. And this whole demonology book, really that's what it was about. Folks trying to control how the witches, the sorcerers, the magis dealt with energy. Okay, so I'll pause. Brother Sean, did you have something to put on it before we go into 5? Next question.
Just looking at it. For he deludes them with vain impressions in the air, makes himself to seem more terrible to the gross sort. And they, the whole fear factor. But okay. Just want to make sure I get this right. I just want to make sure that I get this right. So he could make himself look good. By the differences of their confessions and that point. So I could only imagine that while they were torturing these witches,
what they confessed to.
That they were the ones actually giving out all these different descriptions, that they were actually implanting their fears and being tortured and being in pain like they was. They just said yeah to whatever they said at a certain point. As far as for all these descriptions, whose are they, the magistrates or the witches?
Right.
Because we know that they've already tried to make where anything that's quote-unquote unsightly is automatically evil. Because it's not appeasing to the eye. Even though they say that the devil was the most beautiful angel in heaven. But look how evil she's supposed to be.
Right. Wow, that's a very good point. And when you was explaining the torture, I know last week we read the article about the witch trials and how they were using the torture, but it also kind of brings forward on what we see today with the torture within the quote military system.
Waterboarding.
Torturing, right? The waterboarding, the torturing, and the various different torturing methods the military uses, as well as even in the quote law enforcement system. How folks are beat up and all of that, and to the point where they just agree to whatever. So, in other words, those practices that they did back then still carried over until today. So, yeah, that's a very, very good point, Brother Sean. Very good point. Whose visions were they? Were they really the witches or the magi, or was it that magistrate or lieutenants? Because really wouldn't be the magistrate doing the torturing, it would be the lieutenants, right?
Be the sheriffs. The sheriffs is the hand, is the arm of the magistrate, because the sheriffs have more power than the police or the lieutenants.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. But in this content, they called out the lieutenants. So very, very interesting. Okay, so here's Fi's next question. Effie be just telling on himself. But anyway, Fi goes, how can he then be felt as they confess they have done him, if his body be but of air? Okay, so Fi calls him out on that. Effie goes, I heard little of that amongst their confessions, yet may he make himself palatable, either by assuming any dead body and using the ministry thereof, or else by deluding as well their sense of feeling as seeing, which is not impossible to him to do, since all our senses, as we are so weak, and even by ordinary sickness, will be oftentimes deluded. So it sounds like he's kind of backing up, Brother Sean, what you're saying, because, Effie was saying, man, what the hell you talking about when y'all done beat the hell out of the people? So how the hell they know what they confessing to? And so Effie like, well, yeah, that's the case. I mean, and, what of it? So, I'm sorry, go ahead, sis. That's all I have to say on that.
I hear possession, and I hear that he can they're talking to me. They're talking about possessing people's bodies when they're dead and bringing them back into, working through them. Maybe it's that, like I read a book once where a doctor died and he saw into the spiritual world. He was in school to be a doctor, and he's a minister. I mean, not a minister, but an intern. I mean, a sergeant or something. And he died with pneumonia. And he saw that when in the spiritual world, when a person died, they were still alive, and they jumped in people's bodies to get an essence of what that person experienced. Like, say for instance, like the person was drinking, and they died at the bar. So these waiting spirits, these disembodied spirits, would jump into the person that died or passed out to get a taste of the alcohol that they imbibed of before they passed on. So it's like possessing other bodies. And it's like reincarnation. It's the same difference, that they jump into a body at the time that it was time for them to come through the Saturn gates. Saturn is the gate of passing and going. And when it's time for somebody to come into the world, they jump in and occupy a person's body. Like, just take over.
Yes.
Yep. That could very well. I think that you're on to something. I guess I'm just a little confused because the argument was about the paragraph before. They was talking about torturing folks and confessions, and so now I don't know if they're saying, well, if they die when they confess, if they die as a result of getting your ass beat through torture, whether that be another spirit jumped in or they jumped into another spirit and they're a delusional, who knows, this could be caused by sickness, whatever. So, yeah, I see what you're saying, sis.
All of that. All of that. Yes, it can be any one or all of that or much of it, and that's why I said there's at least one individual that you all have seen already, and they have someone inside of them, and that's why they're acting the way they are. Yes, but all of those things that both you thought of and that were written there in each of these paragraphs exist.
And it's interesting because Effie didn't give a damn if it was the case. He like, yeah, okay, right. And I still don't give a damn. They gonna get what they get. So I'm like, well, dang. So that's interesting. Okay, so here go 5. But I would spare one word further yet concerning his appearing to them in prison, which is this. May any other that chances to be present at the time in the prison see him as well as they. Epi goes, sometimes they will, and sometimes not, as it pleases God.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's pretty self-explanatory. Okay, yeah, whatever. Okay, so now we're in book 2, chapter 7. Here's the argument. 2 forms of the devil's visible conversing in the earth. Ooh, well, let me read this over again. Get my mind together. Yeah. 2 forms of the devil's, plural, visible, conversing in the earth, with the reasons wherefore the one of them was, calmness in the time. Calmness.
It's as if he was communing.
Okay, sorry, I had to enlarge it. My eyes start messing with me. Communis in the time of tapestry, and the other senine or sensine. Sensine. Those that deny the power of the devil denies the power of God and are guilty of the error of the Sadducees or Sadducees. Ooh, that's a pretty heavy argument. Okay, here's what Phi had to say. Had the devil then power to appear to any other except to such as are his sworn disciples, especially since all oracles and such like kinds of illusions were taken away and abolished by the coming of Christ, capital Christ. Okay, so Epi goes, although it to be true indeed that the brightness of the gospel at his comings scale the clouds of all these gross errors in the would you all say that's Gentiles me or gentiles me? Gentiles me, yet that these abusing spirits cease not sense signs at sometimes to appear. Daily experience teaches us. Indeed, this difference is to be marked between the forms of Satan's conversing visible in the world. For of the two different forms thereof, the one of them by the spreading of the
evangel
and conquest of the white horse. In the 6th chapter of Revelation is much hindered and become rarer there, though. This is appearing his appearing to any Christians, troubling of them outwardly, or possessing of them constrainedly, whatever that is. Constrainedly. Sorry, y'all. It's spelled differently, so it's hard for my mind to translate it for those of you that don't see what we're seeing. The other of them is becoming commoner and more used sensine, I mean by their own unlawful arts, whereupon our whole purpose hath been. This we find by experience in the isle to be true. For we know mo ghosts and spirits were seen, nor tongues can tell, in the time of blind papistry in these countries, where now by the contrary a man shall scarcely all his time hear once of such things. And yet were these unlawful arts far rarer at that time, and never were such much heard of, nor so rife as they are not now. Okay, so I'll pause so y'all can put something on that. I'm going to take a quick health break, so if y'all finish putting something on it before I'm back, somebody just read the next Phi's response. I'll be right back, but go ahead.
What I'm finding interesting is that word tapestry.
Yes.
So I guess that's during the implementation of the patriarchal system. And
yes.
These people going crazy and seeing all these ghosts and spirits because they've lost their natural connection with Mother. And they're being taken over by these lower frequencies as they fall.
Yes. That's right.
I think it would be a good idea for people who are listening to get this paragraph This 2, 3, 4 paragraphs. This is very heavy. I mean, the entire thing is. However, you should have a dictionary with you if you don't know these words and the connections to them, because this is mighty. And if you do that, then they can get the understanding of it in their own discernment, and then see how, with the second paragraph, hath the devil then power to appear to any other. You have to break up these words, 2 to 3 words, just like when you're reading a word, trying to understand it. If you break down the letters into 2 or 3 letters, the most 4, and get the understanding, the etymology of that part of the word, then you can better understand what the real meaning of the word was at the time of the writing, as well as the evolution or the what it means today, or has it been confounded or improved upon, or did it stay the same, so that you're getting the proper meaning from this. But whatever your perception or discernment is, your understanding is what it is to you in your world. So you have to see, does that make sense? And don't just leave it there, because then it's only a belief and not real knowledge. So you get that and you put it against what your timing is and what you know history to be, and then you can get the real story on anything, just so that people can see that. But you see, it says the coming of Christ. That can be an individual thing, because everybody can be a Christ. You can attain that if you do the work to get a PhD.
Yeah.
That's all it means. It means anointed, but it means anointed with the information necessary to be a magi at that time. Because magi doesn't just mean in the judicial system. It means you have attained the information, the tools, the usages, the words, the senses, using all of your senses, all of the intrinsic value of everything, knowledge, to get to be at that stage of life, a master, a magi, a magician at that stage of life. So it's very good.
Yep.
As well as the meaning of the feminine and the masculine. So
true. Brother Sean and Sis Sandra, did you all put something on it, what you wanted on that paragraph before we moved on?
I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, I started off, sis.
Okay. So my only thing is to just everyone. I thought the argument itself was deep with the first sentence about the 2 forms of the devils, plural.
yeah. Yeah.
Visible, conversing in the earth.
Yes.
And neither one of them, and maybe they gonna address it as we go down, but neither one of them so far has addressed these 2 devils. So I found that interesting. Okay, so here we go with 5. What should be the cause of that? And Epi goes, the diverse nature of our sins procures at the justice of God diverse source of punishment answering thereunto. And therefore, as in time of papistry, our fathers erring grossly and through ignorance, that mist of errors overshadowed the devil to walk the more familiar among them, and as it were by barnally and affraying terrors, to mock and accuse their barnally errors. By the contrary, we now being sound of religion and in our life rebelling to our professing, profession, God justly by the sin of rebellion, as Samuel calleth it, accuseth our life so willfully fighting against our profession. Okay, Brother Sean, did you have something, or Sis Lioness, or Sis Sandra?
So,
go ahead, sis.
He's talking about Samuel was against them. So, fighting against our profession. So, Samuel was like a prophet or a magi or a leader of the people, and he was a priest and all that kind of stuff. So, he's against King James and what he puts out. Is that what he's saying? Samuel fighting against our profession. That's what you read. Samuel fighting against our profession. And Samuel was the person who Saul saw answers of as to how to overcome them or the wars that was happening. So when he went to the witch of Endor to seek help over the battle that he was about to wage and how he was going to win it, and if he was going to win it, then King James in the scripture condemned Saul. Excuse me, I don't know if I said Samuel. He condemned Saul for seeking out Samuel's assistance. Remember that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So now he's saying if Saul had been successful in getting to Samuel from the other side of the dimension that he's on, then they would have not prevailed over us. They would have never won. That's what I got.
That's pretty deep, sis. I hadn't thought of it in that aspect. Brother Sean, you had something you wanted to put on it?
It's by the contrary, we now being sound of religion. In other words, they thoroughly indoctrinated.
Exactly. Yep.
People. Yep, because they overcame. Mm-hmm. Samuel.
And in our life, rebelling to our profession,
mm-hmm.
God justly, by that sin of rebellion, as Samuel called it. They say rebellion is sin. Accuseth our life so willfully, fighting against our profession.
Mm.
I mean, by the contrary, that begins off. And it's a contradiction.
Mm-hmm.
Because how are you going to rebel to your profession if rebelling is a sin?
Right. Right.
So, I mean,
kind of backed himself in the corner on that one.
That's why I say they
spin doctor. He had to be a lawyer. He was King James lawyer.
He talks a lot and either don't answer the question, tap dance, or backs himself
He's
up
a politician.
in the corner.
He's a politician. That's how they do. Yeah, he was talking to me. He's talking to that Samuel was against them, and if he had and if Saul had been able to get that information from Samuel, then they wouldn't have been able to conquer. That's because he was going to fight him with the information of the hierarchy than what he was at that time they came and conquered. That's what I picked up. But anyway, I could be wrong.
And it's interesting that you say that, sis, because, and I know where you were going with that, because out the gate, was he not ticked off at Saul for getting with the witch
for even
conjure
trying
up Samuel? Right. So now all of a sudden, blood, which is it? So now you saying that Samuel was against rebellion, but yet in book 1, you didn't want Saul linking up with Samuel. So yeah. So I see where you were going with it, sis. Yeah, and you're right, Brother Sean. He was tap dancing and double talking on this, but you know he's kind of been doing that throughout because his argument, he can't prove his point in the argument. So okay.
Well, you know, when he did the writing about Samuel, he put him up as a great prophet. But you know, but when he's talking here, he's saying, "Hey, he's our enemy." You know, we would have lost if he had anything to say.
Yes, and it very well could be what he's saying. Either way, he didn't. His clapback on this was a little bit weak to me. Okay, so here's 5. I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead, brother.
Just going back to the top of it, the diverse nature of our sin secures at the justice of God diverse sorts of punishment, answering thereunto. And therefore, as in the time of papistry, our fathers, erring grossly, ignorant. Now, what I'm getting from that is that this is like the second fall or another level of falling, because obviously at some point he said their fathers made an error, probably in judgment, underestimating the witches. The witches gained their freedom back again. So he's going to be more thorough in wiping out matriarchal society.
Right. Yeah, they would have brought back. They would have lost. They would have lost under the witches of Endor's prophecy with, or the conjuring of Samuel. They would have lost.
Yep. Makes sense. Okay, so 5. And sorry, I had to in the chat room point out that we were going into overtime, and okay, somebody was clowning. All right, so here we go. 5. Since ye are entered now to speak of the appearing of spirits, I would be glad to hear your opinion in that matter. For many denies that any such spirits can appear in these days as I have said. So Epi goes, doubtlessly, who denieth the power of the devil would be likewise deny the power of God, if they could for shame. For since the devil is the very contrary opposite to God, there can be no better way to know God than by the contrary, as by the one's power, though a creature, to admire the power of the great Creator, by the falsehood of the one to consider the truth of the other, by the injustice of the one to consider the justice of the other, and by the cruelty of the one to consider the mercifulness of the other, and so forth, and all the rest of the essence of God and qualities of the devil. But I fear indeed there be over many, how did you all say it, Sadducees in this world, Sadducees or Sadducees in this world that deny all kinds of spirits for convicting of whose error there is cause enough if there were no more, that God should permit at some time spirit visible to, I don't know what that is, kite. It was pretty self-explanatory to me, and let's.
I don't have the book, but they call them seducing spirits.
Okay, seducing spirits. Thank you.
Seducing spirits, yeah, because there was a lot of familiar spirits. They call them familiar spirits, seducing spirits, and they really acknowledging they do exist. I'm kind of like floored because they always say beware of seducing spirits or familiar spirits and all this kind of stuff, because that's the Satan part of it. But he's not saying he's saying that's the devil's part, but that the roles are different between God and the devil. The roles are different. The devil is the good seducer and God is the bad seducer. So when I remember the word God, it was considered the etymology of Gadriel. And Gadriel was a fallen being, a demigod, that they started calling God. So who are they worshiping? I mean, who are they serving? Are they serving a fallen deity, Gadriel? And calls him God now? They call him God now, because that's... So, yeah, but see, because the familiar spirit is what they call the Witch of Endor, is what she conjured up, which is Samuel, which is familiar to them, because I guess that's why they call them familiar spirits. And Samuel destroyed him.
Echo.
What you say, Brother Sean?
There's an echo.
Oh, you hear an echo?
Yeah, but since Sandra was just... Did we lose Lana?
No, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I said since Lioness, did we...
No, I'm here.
Okay. Okay. Okay, sis. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I just thought it was... I'm sorry, go ahead.
So they put Samuel in the position of a familiar spirit, because they taught that in the churches. Beware of familiar spirits. You see, that's what he did. That's what they did with what they're talking about right now. They talk against that in the churches and Catholics and all that kind of stuff, that you can't deal with macrame or dead folks, because that is wrong.
I don't know about that.
I thought it was interesting, the fact that he had to acknowledge the power of the devil.
Right.
And to me, he kind of talked of duality, basically.
Yeah.
Except in his particular version, he's slighting it towards what part of duality that you should be on. And the part of duality you should be on is his particular God or the creator. But he had to admit that the quote devil has powers as well.
Yeah, and almost equal, almost.
Yep.
But not really.
Right.
But
he didn't want to come out and say equal, but to me he was on the tip of almost saying, well, yeah, it's kind of equal, but so yeah, I found that interesting that he didn't even try to deny the power of the quote devil.
You did.
Because the devil is actually the name is something, but it's about the two brothers, okay, and it's about they're almost equal, yet love conquers all. The righteousness conquers all when you do that. But that which you are fighting, if it is a duality, it is within you as well as in someone else, that those opposing forces, the adversarial forces, are what's happening and what's happening right now. But you have to remember, this is saying big G, little o, little d. This is about the hierarchy. There's no way around this. It's about the hierarchy and the angels, the angles of light, and all of the other titles and positions that make up the cosmos, that make up the structure of what should be called governing but is not, and then you have a different idea and purpose and structure of the government that you went through that was just nonsensical and hurtful to you and non-protective of you.
And what's interesting to me, that hierarchy structure, they got lost, okay, with their own, you know, I mean, we know that this is a script and, you know, everybody's playing their part, but those hierarchies, some of those hierarchies got lost. And the battle of powers, and we kept seeing this same behavior repeat itself. So, in other words, you know, in the ethers or the spiritual realm with these hierarchies and the splitting off of those hierarchies, and, you know, one set of hierarchy, you know, I want the souls and the spirits up under me to do certain things. The other ones, I want you up under me. And so it continued through the cycles until the point where we are now, where everything is being revealed and all masks have to come down and all have to be accountable for actions, reactions, etc. So I just find that interesting that no matter what ancient texts we read, you still see the same reoccurring theme.
Yes, because none of the other times was the whole thing successful to return the spear to its rightful owner.
Makes sense.
Okay, and the hierarchy has always existed, yet it was pieces of each one, you know, each one from this category, somebody from this category, that category. Mm-hmm. But it was the two brothers. You have to get the story first. See, you have to get the story the way the real thing was. And then you have to understand the hierarchy. And until you get those different 9 levels of what it is, then you can equate this name to that name. And yes, Samuel, and yes, what is a devil? When did the devil come about? Because the devil wasn't there in the beginning.
Which would make sense.
The energies were there, but the
Mm-hmm.
manifestation of that was not there.
Yep, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
That's why the whole story has to come off, and people are taking off their masks. And when you have seen someone, never mind. I can't wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Yeah, it's just interesting to me because, you know, as the vibration raises, Mother Earth, as she is raising her vibration, so are we raising our consciousness level. And the whole matrix is pretty much already revealed. If you are in tune, you can see through it. So now you are seeing these energies or these angles of light, and how these different ideologies and illusions were put forward. And at the end of the day, you come to start realizing, who the fuck do you think you are?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I get it. And it kind of puts me back to that whole, and I wish they do a season 2 of that, American Gods. Damn, I wish they do a season 2 of that. Where it talks about the different gods and the kingdoms.
Yep.
And how they were playing around with the particular energies and the very powerful energies, meaning the main character that they were after. All of them were trying to get him to serve them. And it was for their own agenda and their own purpose. And each one of those particular gods had their own specialty of power. But they all sat at the table together with agreements on how long they're going to play this game. So this has just been pretty interesting because we've already discussed over this. As long as I've been on the air, we've gone all the way back to Inky and Lil and them. We've done twists and turns, but the things are, it's the same theme. I don't give a damn what we cover. It is the same thing. And the common denominator in all of this is us as individuals, because we hold the power. They don't hold the power. We hold the power. Because if we didn't have the power, they wouldn't be down here fucking with you, doing that for a reason. But my point being, now we're at that age where all of that is being revealed. And it makes a lot of sense why, as the stuff is being revealed, some folks are not going to be able to handle it because it's so deep to know at the end of the day, the power was always within you. I don't give a damn what these other angles of light, what hierarchy, whom did this on this planet.
Yep.
Doesn't matter. You hold the power. You as the individual are the key. So, I know I kind of went off on a tangent there, but, I don't care what we cover. It's really the same script.
It is, and it's not a tangent. Everything is connected to everything else, and no one is none the less than everybody else.
Exactly.
It's just that some people are holding certain titles and positions, and it's cyclical. You get to hold them too, if you so choose, and if you get yourself ready for it. A-game.
Or I'm going to put this out there, you don't have to hold them because you don't want to fucking be bothered.
You can. It's just that you can. You have the opportunity to do so. If you want to participate, then fine. If you don't, then fine. It's all okay. But don't think you're subservient to anyone.
Exactly. That is the main point. Ooh, this is going to be interesting, y'all. And when that sky opens all the way up for all to see, y'all, that's going to be some stuff. That is really going to be a huge awakening because we're already seeing, like, sis, you saw the angels or the angles of light up in the sky the other day. chilling.
Yesterday.
Yesterday, Brother Sean, a couple days ago, take a little picture, and he see the entities chilling among the moon, and then, when I zoomed in on the picture, I literally, that was either the dome I saw, either the dome itself, and or the dome with like binary computer codes to it. So this, when that light switch is flipped, where all can see,
it's
this gonna be
electric.
some shit. Yeah, this is really, really gonna be some stuff, and I'm wondering if some folks, if they're not ready from a vibratorial standpoint, are going to
fear.
No, some are
and
gonna.
go back under contracts with these other entities.
Some have already done so. Some will do so. Some will fall down and have heart attacks when certain people take their mask off, and when certain other people that you think have a human face, when they take that and show their real self and all sorts of things. And when you associate these names and these titles and positions with the people who are already here, you can tell some by the forehead. Okay, long ago, I was telling y'all, look at the forehead. Look at the forehead. It's amazing, but it's all good. It's all good. You're seeing everything. You'll see everything, and you look inside yourself and see who you really are. If you know who you are, no problemo. But if you don't, and you're trying to keep projecting that you know who you are, then you're gonna have a problem. No matter how much knowledge you think you have, you don't have it. But it's okay. It's not downing. It's saying, just open yourself up. Open your heart up first to yourself. And see, there, the kingdom of heaven is in front of you, inside of you. And then you see all things. If you don't do that and you keep looking outside of yourself and saying, they, that's what you're going to see. They, because you conjure them up, not because they're right there doing such and so to you anymore.
And it's interesting. I'm a huge Twilight Zone fan, and they run it every night on the weeknight on one of the old school TVs. So this particular night, and I didn't catch it all of it, and I'm gonna have to go back and get that episode and watch it all the way through, because I caught the tail end where they were in this restaurant. And long story short, it came to the end where this one entity thought he was telling another person something. So he basically told the guy that was behind the counter serving the food, yeah, well, let me tell you something, buddy. I'm from Mars. So he reveals, as he was drinking his cup of coffee, another set of arms. And he said, and I'm here to tell you that we're here to colonize this planet. This looked like a nice space. I've been here checking everything out. This woo-woo, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the man behind the counter just study wiping the little counter, letting the little Mars man talk his little shit. So he let him finish his spiel about their plan to come to the planet, to colonize this, and the third. So the man behind the counter said, and he had a hat on his head. Back in the day, you know how the men in the restaurants wore the little white hat. So he lifts up the white hat and showed his damn third eye. So back then, I was like, hell no! I'm like, damn, I missed this episode. So he showed another eyeball right where the third eye is. He was like, you ain't telling me nothing, blood. I'm from Venus, and we've been here, partner. So you can, what you got? What you got? So I mean, and from Mars, was sitting there with his mouth hung open, and then the little episode ended. So I'm just saying all that to say, all of that ties in, because as I said before, before when I did the show on who are the aliens, and we talked about those different realms and dimensions, and how some of those entities have come to our particular realm. Some of them are still here, or some of them brought some of their people, and or some of them seeded other entities, brought other entities here that they had seeded. Okay, so you have all of these different entities who bring their own set of energies and problems because their particular space was warring, and they haven't learned balance. So they bring the fuckery here. And then you have other people coming here, and they may come as the protectors. So all of this has been kind of a jumble of these things of gumbo. But us that are here now, that are awakened, we are part of those ancient ones that foresaw all of these things happening, and we knew that these different entities would come here with these different ideology, and how folks' consciousness throughout the different ages would go from evolving to devolving to getting to the point where we are now, where this is another decision point. Okay, so are you ready to step back into the higher consciousness, to be aware of all of these things? Or do you need to, or are you not quite ready and you need to repeat another cycle under whatever other division, wherever you are at that moment, quote, quote, re-signing of contracts? And or are you the entities that are in violation of universal law? So therefore, you have to repeat another cycle. And as this lioness said, that's going to be worse, which referred to that Hail to the Null song. So very, very, very interesting stuff.
You know, I'm going to get off on a little tangent here.
No,
you know, you
good,
talking about that Twilight Zone thing, and the different species on the planet. There's a lot of species on this planet that is not of the same race as others. You know, on a species race, that is. I ain't talking about color. And,
right.
And one of the things that this pedophile stuff and this Pizzagate stuff, I was looking at that, and I realized as I was looking at what Dr. Valentine said, these are people from another species, and that's their diet. And they do that to live, because when you look at the Genesis, or the beginning of this last Genesis, they tell us that we're supposed to eat the seeds and the plants of the earth, whereas you get another species on this planet that can't do anything but eat meat. They don't want any seeds and stuff, and if they don't get their meat, they get sick. So, you know, I'm like, I said, So what I think that happened is these species that intermingled with other species, and the ones that still stay as pure blood, or blue blood, as they call it, they still desire young meat in the blood to survive. And that's what I get when I look at all these different species, and everybody looks at it, oh my God, how can you do these to this? It's because that's their species. And we all have the same mask on. I believe, this is what I believe, that we all have the same mask on, but those species of different characters, like the one in the bar, is going to be revealed, and they're going to have to take off their mask, and you're going to see exactly who they are. Am I right, Sister Alliance?
She just got kicked off, and she's not going to be able to get back on. Yep, she's not going to be able to get back on because we're in overtime. Now, yep. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brother Sean.
carelessly, who denied the power of the devil, but likewise denied the power of God, if they could, for shame. Now that's when, through their torture and everything, that they basically created the devil and have people say that he is good.
Got you.
If you don't believe in the devil, then you couldn't possibly believe in their God.
Yes.
And he said, for since the devil is the very contrary opposite to God, there can be no better way to know God than by the contrary. So in other words, you get to know the devil, get to know your lower self in order to better understand your
higher self. Yeah, that goes back to the duality.
Mhm.
Yep. Yep. Very, very good. Only point I wanted to put on yours, sis, was when I put a video out on Truth UnCompromeyezed Facebook page, and it's by Brother Martin Kinney. Let me see if I can just real quick give y'all the name of it, because he talks about the different species, sis, and he puts it in the content of the particular vibration and realms that they come from. And he specifically mentioned about the pedophilia,
right,
and the transgenderism and stuff. And he put it in the content of, to some, to that particular species, or the people from that particular dimension or whatever, that's accepted, okay? Because their interpretation of love may be different than what our interpretation is in this particular realm. So the name of that video is Martin Kinney, Universal Codes of Conduct, 2020 and Beyond. So Martin Kinney, Universal Codes of Conduct, 2020 and Beyond. And that's exactly what he talked about, that as we have switched into another age, and he was saying when the portals open up, that different beings are going to be moving to different realms depending on their vibratory state, and they have to adjust or follow the particular codes of conduct. So in other words, goes back to what I was saying, those that violate universal law. Okay, because we don't roll like that in this dimension with pedophilia. Okay, we just don't roll like that. I don't give a damn about your motherfucking energetic needs, none of that. Take your ass back to your realm with that bullshit. But that is a source of the video to where he speaks on that as well. Okay, hold on a second, family. Let me go into, because we only have 30 more minutes. We're in the third book, the Demonology, third book, and here's the argument. And I'm not sure, Brother Sean, if Sis Linus is going to reach out to you to try to get back on. Okay, here's the argument. The description of all these kinds of spirits that troubles men or women, the conclusion of the whole dialogue. Okay, so this is chapter 1. We're in the third book. All right, and they reclaim the argument again. The division of spirits in 4 principal kinds. The description of the first kind of them called Septra and Ambri Moratorium. What is the best way to be free of it? Okay,
Oh,
you
okay.
on, sis? Okay, cool.
Okay, yeah, I'm here.
Okay, I saw where you got kicked off, and I know you couldn't get back on. Okay, so what is the best way to be free of their trouble? So I'll go over the argument again, and we're in book 3, Sis Lioness, the third book rather. You. Okay, so the argument, the division of the spirits in 4 principal kinds. The description of the first kind of them called spectra and umbre moratorium. What is the best way to be free of their trouble? Okay, so 5 goes, pray you now, then go forward in telling what ye think fabulous or may be throd in that case. Epi goes, that kind of devils conversing in the earth may be divided in 4 different kinds, whereby he affrayeth and troubleth the bodies of men, for of abusing of the soul I have spoke already. The first is where spirits trouble some houses or solitary places. The second, where spirit follows upon certain persons and at diverse hours troubles them. The third, when they enter within them and possess them. The fourth is the kind of spirits that are called vogary and the fairy. Of the 3 former kinds, ye hardy already how they may artificially be made by witchcraft to trouble folk. Now it rests to speak of their natural coming as it were, and not raise it by witchcraft. But generally I must forewarn you of one thing before I enter in this purpose. That is, that although in my discouraging of them, I devy them in diverse kinds, you must notwithstanding thereof note my phrase of speaking in that. For doubtlessly they are in effect, but all one kind of spirit, who for abusing the more of mankind takes on these sundry shapes and uses diverse forms of outward actions, as if some were of nature better than others. Now I return to my purpose. As to be the first kind of these spirits, they were called by the ancient, I'm assuming that's ancient by diverse names according to their actions were. For if they were spirits that haunted houses by appearing in diverse and horrible forms and making great dinning, they were called, am I looking at that right? Lemurs?
Yes, you are. Yeah.
Whoa. Woo. They were called lemurs or spectra. Wow. If they appeared in likeness of any defunct to some friends of his, they were called umbra moratorium. And so innumerable styles they got, according to their actions, as I have said already. As we see by experience how many styles they have given them in our language in the like manner. Of the appearing of these spirits, we are certified by the scriptures, where the prophet SA 13 and 34 cap SA 13, I'm assuming that's Jeremiah 50, threatening the destruction of Babel and Edom, declares that it shall not only be wrecked, but shall become so greatly a solitude as it shall be the habitacle of Howlets and of Zim and Im, which are the proper Hebrew names for these spirits. The cause, while they hunted solitary places, it is by reason that they may affray and brangle the more the fate of such as them along hunts such places. For our nature is such as in companies we are not so moved to any such kind of fear as being solitary, which the devil knowing well enough, he will not therefore assail us but when we are weak. And besides that, God will not, and that's the capital G-O-D, God will not permit him so to dishonor the societies and companies of Christians as in public times and places to walk visible amongst them. On the other part, when he troubles certain houses that are dwelt in, it is a sure token either of gross ignorance or of some gross and slanderous sins among the inhabitants thereof, which God by the extraordinary rod punishes. Okay, all right, I'll pause there. He talked too much shit. Get to the point, but okay, I'll pause. Okay, somebody, y'all want to put something on it.
Be still and know ye are God.
Okay. Sis, did you have anything? Sis Sandra, you have anything you want to put on it? Did we lose? Okay, I thought we lost you.
I'm still here. I just had my phone on mute. No,
okay,
I'm good. I'm just thinking about these two brothers. That seems to be the underlying conversation of the split into the whole realm of eternity or universe or whatever they reigned in together, and the duality of what he's talking about is one is still one entity, I think, and the other one has split into lots of entities, and they're all one. Because we're all a part of the entity, all the entities, we're all a part of the whole. Do I make sense? I don't know if I make sense. It's like we're all split off from there of the gods, and we're all one with the gods.
No, you make sense. You make sense.
And yet there's a struggle of control and power against us because we're the split from the one. I'm kind of like, that's what I'm picking up, and I don't know if I'm on the right track.
No, I get exactly what you're saying. I mean, what stood out to me is because what you're saying is absolutely right. At the end of the day, it's all just one source. Okay, and all returns to that source.
To the source,
but depending
yes.
on but depending on
the
where you are from a consciousness perspective, right? From an energetic perspective, and how you use that energy, how you project that energy, and the particular realm that you were in, there are protocols or universal laws that you must adhere to. Okay, so he's constantly arguing, Epi, trying to get folks to follow his particular laid out ideology, exactly, or energy that they created into a religion.
Right.
Okay. So what stood out to me when I read the Lemurs,
yep, that's funny.
You know where I was going with that. So I just looked up the word, and it says the ghost of the dead of a family, considered as troublesome unless exorcised or exorcist or propagated. Okay, so that is the it's really the derivative of that word is Latin. Are they giving me a year? Let me go to etymology. But that's not the root word that I was thinking of. I was thinking of the race, the Lemurians.
The anchors, to moor like moor in a boat. That's that etymology of that word you're thinking about. It's the anchors, or to be moored to a land or space.
No, I was thinking about the Lemurians.
Yeah, I know, but that's their derivative of the name Moor. You know, that's what the name Moor means. Well, at least that's what I was taught. That to be anchored, like you a mooring, and like
for the word
Lemurian.
moor, yes, for the word moor, yes.
Yeah.
So I just went to the etymology dictionary and plugged it in, and it gives lemur noun, and that's a nocturnal Madagascar mammal, 1795, given the sense by Linnaeus from Latin lemurs, evil spirit of the dead. In this work, he explains the use of the name lemur. Now, the reason I associated that lemurs with Lemuria, because he said ancient spirits. I'm trying to find where dude said that. He takes so long to get to the damn point.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, that were called by the ancients by diverse names, according as their actions were. Okay, so once you look up that lemurs in the etymology dictionary, you do also get the word Lemuria comes up as well.
Do you know there 101s in the Moors doctrine says they're Lucifer, they're the devil, all kinds of stuff. There are different angles of light, and I read that and I said, I beg your pardon. When they were talking about
the Moors said that. Yeah, and that would be accurate, right?
Yeah, they would if that's the definition that old James just gave out. Yeah.
So, but you have to understand it fully, though. You have to understand it fully because it means light bearer.
Yeah.
Okay, greater than what the little bit that has come out. So.
Right, the light
and that's
bearer.
why other people are claiming to be that, to get
Lucifer.
to be the level, right? And Lucifer is a woman anyway, but that's a whole other story.
That's another story.
It's greater than this. But good and bad in everything. So the ministering and the downing spirits of those whole entities. You take that piece off. That's what's being done right now. The cleaning, the cleansing of the negativity, not negative charge, because a negative charge is a positive thing and it is feminine. And it gives you iron, it gives you creativity and all like that. And it comes from light, from the light bearer. Okay? The other part is that dross, that negative dastardly piece, which is being rounded up and sifted out, that they have to start all over again. That is that piece that anchors anyone, any species, any breakdown of a category of this, that, or the other. So there is no good and bad. It's the forces and the degree of this and that.
Okay. Well, again, I just kind of blew me away to just read that he referred to the Lemurs, the ancient spirits of the Lemurs. So, whether or not you want to take it in the content of meaning the spirits of the dead, or you want to take it in the spiritual, really, really ancient connotation of that ancient Lemurian civilization. So, in other words, using the energy, the magic, the practices, the teaching of the ancient Lemurians.
Mhm. Who are
So
a peaceful race.
Absolutely. And I was
And it's
speaking
not
to
the same
someone.
Moors.
No,
Right.
two
and
different
it's not
things.
the same Moors
Totally
that
two
people are
different
talking
things.
about.
Exactly. Totally two different things. And I was speaking with someone when we were talking about the different entities and races, and I was saying that there are Lemurians that have always been here
Yes.
and are still here today. So, you have
Yeah.
the Atlanteans and you have the Lemurians as well. And the Lemurians are accredited as being the first in the physical fall, the first, probably I don't know if it was the second or the third fall, but anyhow, they're accredited as being that ancient, peaceful civilization race. So I don't know if that's what dude was talking about, but I found that awfully interesting that he said the ancient and put the Lemurs in there. So I'll yield. Brother Sean, if you have something to put on it.
Yeah. That kind of devils conversing on the earth may be divided into 4 different kinds. So we're definitely talking about multiple.
Yep.
Now, where all these different devils came from, I'm not sure. But he say about, we go into all the different types, the 4 different types.
Right.
Then he say how they may artificially be made by witchcraft to trouble folk.
There you go.
Yep.
Now it rests to speak of their natural coming, as it were, and not raised by witchcraft. To me, what that sounds like is,
That's deep.
at first, the witches were calling upon the ancestors to come back and help out. Now things are getting to the point where the ancestors just come and fucking with their asses, just period dot. Okay, nobody got a conjure. Y'all ain't about to be peaceful. I'm about to fuck with you.
That makes sense.
To me,
And thank you. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sean. Brother Sean.
Like the whole thing about roots. Putting roots or putting the hex on something.
Right.
And to me, that also takes me back to something my grandmother told me. Being born under veils, this, that, or the other. She always told us that when you're dealing with an unfriendly or unfamiliar entity, you cuss it out to leave you alone.
Yep.
So that's probably why some of these other beings are so offended when melanated beings cuss with such passion.
Yeah, that makes sense. Whoa. Wow. That makes sense. Well, thank you for that, because I heard someone else say that same exact thing, that, you curse out the particular energies or beings to put them on notice that you're not the one. So I love that you got that from your ancestor. But the other thing is when you said how some folks get so mad. And Brother Sean, now can't we use this recently? Remember when we got had those doggone not hacklers, what do you call them when they try to infiltrate your call?
Trolls.
You know,
Trolls.
Thank you. When the trolls came on with that bullshit, trying to disrupt the show. So, you know, when we kept going on with the show, and you know how we roll, if we want to curse, we curse. And then, Brother Sean, you kind of went off and said a few little choice words. You couldn't see it, but I saw it in the chat room because they were begging to come back on. And then when you went in with said what you said with the cuss words, literally one of them said, "Oh, this is just too many curse words for me. I just have to leave." So I was cracking up to myself. I didn't want to interrupt the show to say that, but that makes sense because that's not the first time that I have heard that. Well, you need to do this, tone. Look at, damn it, I'm not toning down shit for you. Either it resonates with you or it don't. And it's okay if it don't resonate with you. But I never thought of it in the content of warding away certain energies that is trying to interfere. And the other thing is, thank you for clarifying that Epi finally did acknowledge more than one devil. Because that question was asked back up into the last chapter, that argument rather, and we didn't get an answer. So he did at least break that down and attempted to go through to the different types of devils. So I'm going to bookmark where we left off because we only have a couple minutes, so we won't get cut off on last words like we usually damn do. So, Sis Lioness, do you have any last words for the family?
Just be ready inside yourself, and I don't want to hold you all up.
Okay, you good, Sis. Sis Sandra, you have any last words? Okay, thank you, Sis. Thank you. Sis Sandra, you have any last words?
I think we didn't given up our power too long as it is. I'm looking forward to the change, and I know I don't look like I am on the outside. I know my inside is different, but what it is what it is. Right. I'm looking forward.
Indeed, sis. Brother Sean, you have any last words for the family?
Become fear. Protection is in your purpose. Your purpose is your protection. You don't have to fear nothing.
That's right. That's right. Indeed. Okay, family. So next week we'll conclude because we're on the last book. I don't think that we should be able to get through it. So I do want to thank you all for being patient with us. We will be back next week because I think the holiday, because I try not to hold shows on days of the holidays because, I know folks have their families that they want to attend, but we'll be through and done with all of that. So we'll come back Thursday to conclude up Demonology. So I do want to thank each and every one of you, and I do want to thank all of my lovely co-hosts for being with me tonight on this journey. I love you all very much. Family, just be happy with who you are. You're back here for a purpose. You are a witness of some very, very powerful stuff. And what is going on now is being written, or it's already have been written for the generations to come. So it is a very, very exciting time very, very exciting age that we're in. And I feel honored that you all are with me as a part of this journey. So love you all very much. We're going to rock out with some music, calling on all of the sons. Come on. Do your thing. Do your thing. So peace and love, family, and love you very much.